Okay, I'm doing a quick test right now. Test, test, test. Can you hear me now? And hear me now and see me? Do we have audio? Can someone give me a thumbs up on audio? Okay, Susie said we're good. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. They've got to be having some sort of a server issue or something going on. Okay, I just got a text from Candido and Rachel in New York, and they said good to go, thumbs up. So let us hope. Let us hope that that things keep rolling. And I see a new name. I don't know if the moderators, if it's new to them, but I see Nola Brandt. I don't know that I've seen Nola Brandt before. So welcome to Nola. If you're new to the live streaming and new to the Cow Country family, great to have you here. So I'm going to go ahead and well, I'm doing a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and put on a little bit of music, and we will get started in just a few seconds, a few minutes, I should say. Joelle said that she's late, so someone, if one of the leaders want to give her a late pass, that'd be great since she's the owner of the machine, along with her mom Sharon. So. And apparently NOLA has a 1222E also, so very cool. Very, very cool. All right, I'm going to pause the music and get us rolling straight away. And you're not having double vision. If you're seeing two sewing machines, it's because I wanted to draw a contrast between an earlier version that shares a lot of the same attributes as the 1222E, but it's also a wee bit different because it's obviously a flatbed. It's not a free arm, and it also lacks some of the other attributes of the 1222E as well. But I love the way you can access the bobbin case on this one. You kind of push this little trap door thingy here, and when you push it down, you can go ahead and remove the entire cover, and you can reach in there and grab that bobbin case very, very easily. Gives you a really, really nice access for a flatbed machine. A lot of the other machines you have to tilt up or tilt back or something else, but PFAFF, again, being incredibly smart on engineering, they give you a huge opening here where you can get in there to change out the bobbin case if you run out of thread or whatever. You just snap her back down. It's also got a similar control on the front that we'll be looking at quite a bit on Joelle and Sharon's 1222E today. And the control center here is pretty much the same. I don't know if you're able to see that or not. I'll see if I can bring the camera over a little bit closer. but the control center we're going to be looking at quite a bit today is going to be nearly identical. Also, it's got that really cool magnetic bobbin that you can anchor to this. I've got one already wound, but you can kind of see it when I put it on there. It kind of grabs it. So I love the magnetic mount is super cool because unlike other mounts that can break or wear out or they need adjustment, this one, as long as you got a magnetic field, you're good to go. So I think it's really, really neat to have that as well. And it's got a little portal here where you can look at the 4 buttons for different stitch output on the machine. Whereas Joelle and Sharon's is going to have twice that number here, and even more than twice that number because of the built-in cam functions on this machine that are going to give you a total of about 60 different decorative ornamental stitches. This will generate about 60 different ornamental stitches, which is really, really, really pretty amazing. But you know, it's a PFAFF. What do you expect? You're expecting amazing things to come out of Western Germany. So yeah, I mean, whether you're looking for a flatbed or whether you're looking for a machine that's got that free arm capacity, both of these models are going to give you a lot of choice, a lot of options when it comes to the sewing machine. You can see the difference with Joelle's. Also, it's going to be a little bit higher profile, and it's also going to have some other features that we'll look at a little bit more in depth as we jump into this live tonight. So I'm going to get this one out of the way. Part of the reason I pulled this out was just to draw a quick contrast, but also the model that directly preceded Joelle and Sharon's machine. Matter of fact, it shares the manual. It shares the manual that I have a copy of here. The 1221. The 1221 is going to be very, very close to this model, which is a 1211. Both of them are going to be flatbed machines. And I don't know if Joelle and Sharon have a manual similar to this or whether they have one specific to the 1222E, but the manual has so many wonderful tips and so many wonderful guidance points within it, even servicing points for the machine as well. It's a total, this manual is a total of about 68 pages long. So hopefully Joelle and her mom Sharon have a copy similar to this that they can use as a reference to enjoy the machine, optimize it, and also maintain it once it gets out there in California. So, and also if anyone has a 1221, a 1222, and they're lacking a manual, this is available online. But if you want a hard copy, I can certainly drop one in the mail to you for the cost that it cost me to produce these. And I know that Susie's going to be putting a number of links into the live stream tonight, links that will highlight some of the stitch capabilities, which are represented here. And we'll be looking at additional ones that Joelle sent me via text that will expand this, which already is pretty doggone impressive, from 42 stitches all the way to around 60 stitches. And the only difference with the sheet that Joelle has, instead of referencing the different buttons by number, it references the buttons by letter. And all you have to do is just transpose, the number sequence. As we're looking at the buttons here, it's counting from the bottom up. So it's going to be 1 through 5, 5 being at the top, and then 6 to 10. So on Joelle's reference sheet, it's going to be basically A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I've got to practice the alphabet in order to do this without getting overly confused. But yeah, they cross-pollinate each other wonderfully. But I'm just utterly impressed even by the 42. And then with the E series 1222, they added about another 15 to 20, almost 20 stitches that we might explore some of those this evening. So, yeah. All right. What else do we have? Let's see here. So I think we'll start by winding a bobbin. It's good to know how to wind a bobbin on the 1222E. But real quick before I do that, I'm going to shut the fan off underneath the workbench. Temperatures here during the day have only been in about the 60s or 70s, and at nighttime it's dropping down into the 40s. So if you're in a warmer climate and you're saying 40s, that's like freezing to death. It really isn't in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, if we drop into the 40s, you'll still see people walking around Oconto with short sleeves and flip flops. And one of those people will be me. But while I'm sitting here and I can't move around, I've got this big box fan underneath the workbench, and I've got to shut that off. Otherwise, you'll see me starting to probably shiver a little bit during the live stream. So give me just a moment and I'll do that straight away. All right, fan is off. So I can turn on the, actually I already have the little fan running right to the side of me. So today, as I was trying to get help from YouTube and getting things back online, no idea still what's going on. Even this evening, when I went to click that final field, the go live one didn't show up, and I had to go backwards. And then, any rate, I figured it out, thankfully. But earlier, when I was able to get it to go live, I was showing some of the sew offs I did off camera. I'll just show those real quick to you. Saddle grade leather. I don't know if you can see it from the side. It's probably about 3 ounces of leather, and this is a soft, malleable leather. But don't let that deceive you. Saddle grade leather is used to make gun holsters and wallets and a variety of other things as well. It's hardcore leather, and Joelle was tickled pink, and I'm sure Sharon, her mom, will be tickled pink as well to see that I was doing decorative ornamental stitching on the saddle grade leather as well. So if they go to make bags or other things like that, whether it's the strap or whatever it is, they could do some fancy stitching with this 1222E. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see that, hopefully. And I'm using a fun Coates & Clark 40 weight embroidery thread. So this is not a super lightweight embroidery thread that you might find at certain stores. This is pretty hardcore. And so it's able to maintain some really beautiful stitch integrity going through saddle grade leather, also laying down a beautiful lock stitch as well. And I did shoot over to Joanne's, and good thing they said, Scott, we ran out of cards. Do you have more cards? And all I had were the cards that were in my wallet. So I dropped off more cards to our friends at Joanne's. And I would strongly encourage you not to do a sales pitch for them, but to do a sales pitch for them. There's been some chatter, and I don't want to spread rumors, but I've heard it from more than one source. So let me just say, oh yeah, I've got my Batman shirt on today. I've got my Batman shirt on, so do my little pec flexing and stuff like that, like Dwayne Johnson when he's doing some of his stuff, because I keep referring to this 1222E as having Batman symbols. So I laid down to rest a little bit in the middle of the day, and I went to shower afterwards, and I thought I got to grab my Batman shirt so when I'm on camera I can correlate my shirt to Joelle and Sharon's machine and do a little bit of fun pec popping like Dwayne Johnson. And why do I refer to Dwayne Johnson instead of some other guy? It's because if you haven't seen it on the workshop bench wall, I've got a picture of him right here sitting behind a Juki sewing machine. So if anyone ever gives any guys a hard time about, oh, it's wimpy to be a sewist, why don't you try saying that to Dwayne Johnson and see what happens? Because he's willing to sit behind a Juki. So I think he's about one of the toughest guys that I know. in life. And he's not afraid to be a sewist. And then I did some of this on cotton with a stiffener as well. Some of these stitches I was doing both off camera and then also in trying to generate some of these when I was doing trying to do a video when I couldn't get the live stream to work. So a lot of fancy, fun stitches in this 1222E, and fun to begin to explore them a little bit. And guess what? You can even do a straight stitch. Really? Yeah, you can do a straight stitch or a zigzag if you want to just do some utility type stitching, but we're probably not going to spend a lot of time in that realm tonight. We're going to be exploring the stitches that I have on my sheet, and then I'll be going to the copies of the sheet that Joelle sent as well, and see if I can't do some of the stitches that are on her 1222E sheet summary as well. So that'll be kind of neat. And I just heard a text message from Emma, so I'll see if I can check that out in just a second. Here's some more of those stitches as well on a lighter colored green. This same color cotton green that we're going to be sewing on tonight. You see some of those fun stitches that I did off camera. And I usually sew, most of you know this, I usually sew with kind of a plain dual duty XP thread like this. Nothing super fancy. This is typically what I'm sewing with. But this is such a special project that I've done that has involved Joelle and her mom Sharon and a number of other family members. I wanted to kind of dress up a little bit. I should have put on my tuxedo that Emma sent me, but I've got my Batman shirt on instead. But I wanted to make this a little bit special because it's really been a family project, like I said in the title. It's been a family project, and it's really cool when the entire family rallies around something like this. And I had like two thoughts coming out of my mouth at the same time. You hear me go, oh. Okay. So yeah, this machine has been in the family over 30 years, I think it is. It was rescued from a sewing vac in 1981, and Sharon came across it. It was a higher end type machine even then. And even today, if you try to find one of these 1222Es, good luck. They're really, really hard to find, especially when they're going to be in full operating condition. I delayed this live stream a long time because there's so many mechanical functions of this machine that you've got to get right in order to have the machine do its dance properly. So my thought is divided right now as I'm wondering what Emma sent. So hold on just a second. Let me see what Emma sent. $6:37. Joelle sent a smiley face. I sent a picture of the Wizard of Ocanto, and she sent back a smiley face. So I think that's good. She likes the Wizard. Let me see what Emma sent. Oh, her mom's name is Sandy. So I should call her mom Sandy, because when her mom sent correspondence to the workshop, she put down Sandra, but maybe that's her proper name. So I will go with what Joelle says, and remind me if I goof up, because I was practicing before we went live. I kept saying Sandra, 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 Sandra. And now I got to say Sandy, 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 Sandy. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I got it now. Got a nasty little gnat going after me right now. So, okay. Sandy. Sandy, 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 Sandy. Okay. I'll probably remember now, but otherwise, if you guys throw me in, if the leadership team throws me in a 200-second timeout, I'll know that I goofed up and I got it wrong. So, okay. Good deal. Thank you for letting me know that, Emma. Okay. What else? What else? What else? What else? Let me see if there's any other messages that I've got to respond to. And this week, let me give you all a forewarning. Um, if you're one of those family members that get a notification as soon as I go live, you get either an email or a text message or something like that. Your phone is going to be buzzing a lot this week if things turn out as I hope they will, because I've got a number of machines that I'd like to show you, I'd like to present to you. Because again, just a reminder that this is my last full week of working in this workshop. Uh, on Monday, the 18th, I've got movers coming, and they're going to be packing up the workshop, and they're going to be temporarily putting it into the storage. And then once I land on the other end, um, those movers will come back, or other movers will come back and grab the stuff out of storage and then move it to my new workshop destination. And a lot of you are probably already getting ready to text me or type in the live chat, where is your new workshop going to be, Scott? That is a brilliant question that I don't have a full answer to yet. I don't have a full answer to that yet. So there's going to be a dark period, if I can speak English. There's going to be a dark period, and I don't know. I can't tell you how long that's going to be yet. Between this guy's mocking me here. What's going on? This guy's mocking me here. What's going on? Hey, stop that! Stop that! I'm the wizard. Hey, stop that! Stop that! I'm the wizard. No, you're not. Okay, all right, leaders, find this charlatan that keeps mocking me, and throw this person into a timeout. Throw this person into a timeout. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna shut this guy down, man. Yeah, there you go. I shut the volume off, so now you can only hear me. Only me. Yeah, there's only one wizard in Okanto, as far as I know. Unless Harry Potter shows up, and then whatever. I mean, we'll probably grab coffee together or something like that. Yeah, we'll probably grab coffee together. Why not? Okay, let me see what I've got here. Check messages real quick. All right. So Sandy and Joelle, and if there's any other family members that helped contribute to financing this project, I want to acknowledge them as well. Hopefully Joelle will type their names into the live chat and acknowledge the rest of the California family members that were involved in making this a reality. I hope so. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the right window to close so I can finally put this silly phone down. I did a post on Facebook today showing some young people. If any of you saw that, I did a post on Facebook today showing young people in a classic diner back in 1950, I believe it was. And I commented that that these young people are, you look at their faces and they're genuinely joyous. They're happy. They're interacting with each other. They're talking to each other, and they don't have cell phones. They don't have Facebook. They don't have, I don't remember when YouTube came online, but at any rate, they didn't have all of that fancy technology stuff, and they're looking like they're really happy and content. So that's really, wow. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even back when I grew up in the day, I grew up in the 70s and going into the 80s. I remember being in college in the 80s. And in college in the 80s, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a desktop computer. I didn't have internet in my dormitory. What I had was an IBM Selectric typewriter. That was cutting edge. That was really, really, really cutting edge to have an IBM Selectric typewriter that I could type my term papers with. And I was the envy of all the other kids or young people or young adults, whatever you call them, when they're in college. No one else in my building had an IBM Selectric typewriter where you could backspace and it would correct it automatically. You didn't have to use whiteout or something like that. It was just amazing. It was cutting edge, kind of like this 1222E. And, but yeah, if you wanted internet to do some research for a term paper, at my college, you had to go all the way down to the library. You had to go down to the library, and there were a couple of computers that you could sign a paper and get access to in order to access the internet. I mean, that was it. And I think there were only like, yeah, at my college, there were like maybe a half a dozen computers that you could get the internet on, maybe less than that. But yeah, we didn't have internet in the dorms. Are you kidding me? What did my people do back in the day for entertainment? They went down to the equivalent of the on-campus kiosk, and you ordered a pizza. We had live bands that came in sometimes, and we would go down there and do some dancing in the kiosk area near the area where you get the pizzas and all that, blah, blah, blah. And that's in the 80s, back in the 1980s. So, yeah, I mean, we can find joy and contentment and happiness in so many different areas. I know that for some of the leadership team members, it's different things. You could type in the live chat right now where your happy place is. Where do you find your contentment? Where do you find your joy? And it oftentimes isn't on the internet, maybe with the exception of coming together with the family for live streams like this. But maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's going down by the water if you live near water. All of you might have different little happy spots that you could type into the live chat and share that with the rest of the family. Let us know where your happy place is. I'd like to know. I'm curious to know where your happy place is. Yeah. Checking one other field real quick on my phone, and then I'm going to set this thing down. Consider it done. And I can still hear that fake wizard mocking me real softly now. I think the leaders threw that person into a timeout. I think they did. He'll probably surface again, though. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out, leaders. This guy that's trying to pretend to be the real wizard is lurking in the shadows. And I'm not talking about our friends that are lurking in the shadows in live stream. Other lurky areas, if that's a thing. Other lurky areas. All right, I'm almost ready. Almost ready. So close. So again, back to this special project, and I should move this 1211 out of the way too. This 1211 doesn't have to stay here because it's going to be embarrassed a little bit. It's not even as tall as Sandy and Joelle's machine. It doesn't have all the fancy stitching that this one will do. I don't want to embarrass it unnecessarily and leave it sitting over there while this other one is experiencing greatness. This one doesn't even have a power cord. It's not even plugged in. You could push the light all day long and the light won't even come on. So yeah, I should just move it to the side out of view so that it's not embarrassed in the greatness of Sandy and Joelle's amazing 1222E. And our other friend that's in the live chat right now, I believe it was Nola. I'm going to say hello to everybody in just a second. I believe it was Nola that said she has 1222E as well. And I have no idea where Nola is from. Maybe from, who knows, maybe from Switzerland or some exotic place like that. Yeah, could be. Okay, well, I should ring the bell to signify the beginning of class officially, even though we've been live now over 30 minutes, and I'm just ringing the bell right now. What's going on with that? That's kind of silly, isn't it? Okay, so about 20 minutes ago or whenever it was, I talked about winding a bobbin. So I'm going to put the bobbin on top before I actually wind it and ask for a help from all of you, because I'm going to do something intentionally that I read on the internet. A lot of people have done this and they're puzzled as to what's going on and why it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I'm going to put the bobbin on top right over here. That wonderful magnetic grab. Ha! There it goes. And I'm going to engage the bobbin winder like that. And I'm going to push on the foot controller as if I'm winding a bobbin before I actually wind a bobbin. And you're going to notice something that's going wrong. And maybe Nola can tell me what it is. Now, our bobbin is spinning. Isn't that marvelous? Yes, it is. Bobbin is spinning away. But the needle is moving too. The needle is moving while we're winding a bobbin. So what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Nola can help us out. I know what the answer is, but I'm going to let Nola give us the answer. What do I need to do in order to disengage the clutch so that we're winding a bobbin without moving the needle? What do you do on this machine to do that? Maybe Joelle will tell us, or maybe Sandy will tell us. It's a great learning lesson. Again, I know the answer already, but others on the internet, as I read different blogs in that, they're like, what's up? Why is the needle moving? I engaged the bobbin winder. Look I did it. I did it right. It's pushed in, but the needle's moving. Ah, yikes. So, yeah, we'll see if anybody can help us out. And I'll quickly go around and say hello to everybody as well. All right, let me scroll all the way to the top. All the way to the top. And yes, Susie was first in the classroom today, again. Even with the technical glitches, you can't hold this gal back. She's from Minnesota, for goodness sakes. They're tougher than nails in Minnesota. And I'm not talking about the Vikings. Vikings are, but whatever. But the ladies in Minnesota, tougher than nails, just like PFAFF machines out of Western Germany. So Susie was first in the classroom. I think I was second, barely. And then Emma popped in. Good evening to Emma as well. Good evening to, who else do we have? Who else? We've got Nola, who also owns a 1222E, similar to this. Of course, it hasn't gotten workshop magic, so it's not really amazing, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, it is, because it's Nola's machine, for goodness sakes. Keep up, everybody. Keep up. Nola is awesome, so her machine is awesome, but it still doesn't have, where is it? It doesn't have workshop magic like Sandy's and Joelle's machine. Yeah. Doesn't have the workshop magic, but it's still a really amazing machine because of Nola's amazing. All right. Who else do we have? All right. I'm scrolling. Joelle. We've got Joelle, the co-owner. And I say co-owner because Joelle joked that the girls, when this gets back to California, they're going to be fighting over this machine. I think it's I'm shipping it to Sandy's place, but Joelle's going to be over there waiting on the doorstep for that FedEx or that UPS person to show up. And I don't know. It could get ugly. I'm visualizing Joelle trying to like be a porch pirate, grab the 1222 and the tote off of the porch, try to run off with it. Sandy, who I mean, she's in California, and California people are, I mean, they're movers and shakers, right? So Sandy's going to tackle Joelle, but because of how well I packed the 1222E, it's not going to get damaged. But then they're going to be like rolling across the grass. And I think, yeah, Joelle said that Sandy lives in a gated community and there's an armed guard or something like that. So then I don't know. I'm seeing like a cops program or something like that with the arrival of this 1222E. So our other friend and family member, Nola, that's in the live chat, if you have any advice to kind of coach these ladies along so that this can arrive and there's not going to be a wrestling match on the front lawn in this gated community, I mean, I'm open to advice because any rate, let me go down the rest of the list. Let me go down the rest of the list. Who else do we have? Oh, good evening also to Teresa and to Tim as well. I didn't see Tim's name yet, but Tim might be further down. Or maybe Teresa and Tim are watching together tonight. But it's always great to have Teresa here. Teresa is from Wisconsin, so that automatically makes her super cool. She is like in cow country. Cow country. I mean, for the longest time growing up, I always asked my parents when I was just a little guy, why do our license plates say the dairy state or something like that? Does anyone else remember those license plates? And now Wisconsin has like a billion different license plates you can get. And I don't even know if they offer the dairy state plate anymore. Do they still offer it? I have no idea. Also, good evening to my good friend Candido, and also to his lovely wife Rachel from the great state of New York. New York. Yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. Who else do we have? Oh yeah, there's Tim. There's Tim. Hey Tim, what's up? What's up, Tim? Yeah. Aha. There's Tim. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see. Who else do we have in the live chat? I'm still scrolling. Now, Nola, as I'm scrolling past Nola's name, she said, disengage the clutch on the hand wheel. I've got to tell you something, Nola. That's actually incorrect. So maybe you have, I don't know, maybe you have a special 1222E, but you do not disengage the clutch anywhere near the balance wheel on this machine. You got to do it a different way. Now I'm going to read what you wrote again because I might be getting it wrong. I oftentimes do. But you've got to disengage the clutch on this 1222E in a different way. It has nothing to do with the balance wheel at all. Nothing to do with the balance wheel. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling. Oh, hello to Bill. Hello to Bill over in the great state of Minnesota, the same great state that Susie comes from. And Bill and his beautiful daughter Lisa and their dog Nora. I mean, they are part of the Cow Country family. I mean, they got hats, they've got the secret handshake, they got everything that you need to be part of the family. And if you don't know the secret handshake, ask one of the leadership team members. They might check your credentials. If you don't have the proper clearance, they can't tell you, but they might tell you anyway. I don't know. They might tell you. They might not tell you. I don't know. They might tell you. They might not tell you. All right. That was Susie's notification. Let me see what's going on here. I said Sandy. I didn't say Sandra, so she can't be scolding me for that. What? 518 in the live chat right now? Is that real? Seriously? I was looking at the names on the right side. I wasn't looking at the left side at the top. 502? Holy mackerel. Jiminy crickets. And that's on a Sunday evening? We have over 500 people that popped in to say, "What's up?" Yeah, I don't know if they said what's up like that, but they might have. What's up? Yeah. Wait, I have another unread message. This texting thing is like faster than lightning. What else do we have? Oh, that's the same one. Okay. I got it. I figured it out. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's not every live stream. We have these folks that just pop in. I don't know if they're coming by way of Facebook, if they're coming by way of Schmetz Needles. Maybe the whole corporate headquarters for Schmetz Needles just decides, hey, we're going to jump in to one of Scott's live streams and kind of check things out because they're following us on Facebook and on YouTube. And I know we just had the great quilting blah 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 show down in Madison. I got a note from one of the people at Schmetz Needles saying, "Hey, are you going to be at the big event in Madison, Wisconsin for the Great North Dancing as a Wolves or whatever it was, quilting blah blah blah?" I said, "I can't make it. I'm getting ready to move the workshop." And there was like a frowny face. I didn't know that the Schmetz people knew emojis. If anyone doesn't understand emojis, let me tell you about our ambassador to emojis. Our ambassador to emojis is Emma. If you get an emoji and you're like, what the heck does that mean? I don't know what that means. Emma's your gal. Go to Emma and ask her any question about any emoji, even emojis that don't exist, and she'll tell you the history in about 3 or 4 paragraph summary. She's like the Wikipedia of emojis. So just reach out to Emma from Florida and she'll hook you up. She'll tell you what's up about emojis because she knows them all. She does. She knows them all. Let's see who else we have. I said hello to Teresa. I said hello to Joelle. Now, I normally wouldn't, I don't in live streams. Single folks out ever in a negative way, but I do it in a way to teach them about the culture of cow country. And one of the no-nos, and I'm surprised a leader didn't catch it yet. We've got all kinds of leaders in this live stream, and I don't think any of the leaders caught it yet. But Nola typed something about the price of her 1222E that she bought at a church sale, and giving the price in the live chat or on Facebook or anywhere else is a no-no. So I'll let Nola remove it. Otherwise, one of the leaders go ahead and for fun, only for fun, go ahead and delete Nola's comment where she references a price about the 1222E that she got at a church sale. And if you want to throw her into a timeout, I think she's a great sport. I think she'll see that it's being done in fun. Otherwise, I'll leave that up to you. But we never put prices, especially if it's dirt cheap on a vintage collectible type machine like a 1222E, because it diminishes the intrinsic value of that machine. And we never, as cow country family members, we never want to give people the impression that something isn't valuable. You know, if we got it for a steal, keep that to yourself. Don't type it in the live chat. Don't do that. All right. Yeah. Susie found it. That a girl. And again, don't take offense, Nola, Don't take offense. We reinforce, and the leaders can explain it a little bit more. We want to reinforce the intrinsic value and the collectability of vintage sewing machines. A lot of people lack knowledge because they're not part of our group. And even people that are in other similar groups lack knowledge. That's why we step out as ambassadors and we educate people. If we go to Facebook Marketplace and we see a machine priced really low, we know that it's much, much more valuable than that. Then we try to educate that seller as to what the value of that machine is. Even if we want that machine, we're still going to educate them because it's the right thing to do. So if you get a deal on a machine and you're at a church sale or anywhere else, and you explain to those folks at the church sale, and I'm assuming if there's a sale at a church, it's benefiting the church or maybe missionaries or something else that's very, very valuable. And if we see them offering something like a sewing machine, like a 1222E, and it's at a real cheap price, first thing we want to do, since we're in a place of worship, a holy place in a sense, we don't want to get struck by the big boss in taking advantage of those folks. And I'm not implying that NOLA did, but we want to first of all say to him, hey, this machine's worth a lot more than what you're asking. Since this is benefiting missionaries or benefiting something else that's really, really good, I'm going to pay you this amount for it because I really do want that machine. I really, really want that machine, but I'm going to pay you a fair price for it. And I've done that before in different places. And they always look at you like you're a little bit squirrely, but that's okay because I got to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day, and I want to do the right thing. And I know all of you do as well. So, if you come across a machine at a wheel of a deal, let them know what they've got. Make an offer a little bit more than that, to be fair. And if they're still insistent, which has happened before to other family members for Cow Country, if they're still insistent, they're like, no, I'm happy with that price. And you've explained to them what they've got. What do? You say, God bless you. Thank you so much. And maybe you make an extra little donation to that church. I don't know. But at any rate, just food for thought, right? Food for thought. All right. What else do we got? Okay. I think we've covered everybody. Yeah, I've gone through. If I missed anybody, please forgive me, but I think I said hello to everybody. So I'm going to jump into providing the answer right now as to what you need to do. Because Noah, that just acquired one of these through a church sale, isn't familiar with the functions of the machine yet, which is totally cool. So I'm going to help her out with a number of things in this live stream. So right now we engage the bobbin winder. We're pushing here. Our needle is still moving. Doggone it. What's going on? What is going on with this machine? Well, you got to go to the back of the machine right over here by this presser foot lever. And this presser foot lever does a number of things. Right now in the horizontal position, let's just pretend that this is a clock. Let's pretend that this is sort of a clock pointing to the right towards the pillar, or maybe the 3 o'clock position on the clock. Right now, it's just in the up position because we never run a sewing machine with the presser foot down unless we have material underneath that foot. What happens if we run the machine right now without anything between the presser foot and the feed dogs? Someone type that in the live chat. Type that in the live chat and tell us what's going on. And I've seen people do that in YouTube videos. And I'm like, stop! Stop! Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm guessing one of the leaders will jump out and say straight away why you should never, ever, ever do that. You're going to run a machine with the presser foot down. You got to put material between presser foot and the feed dogs. But addressing the bobbin winding thing right now, while the leaders or someone else in the live chat is answering that question, you got to take this lever right here and you've got to push it up. You got to push it up. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a needle up position on this machine. it's also going to disengage the clutch automatically. So watch what happens. I'm going to push this up. It gave us a needle up position. So that needle, even if that needle was down in the bobbin case, as soon as you move this lever up, it's going to automatically move that needle to the highest position. And it's also going to disengage the clutch straight away. So just doing that, watch what happens now that I push on the foot controller. So this lever in the back does a number of things. It's kind of like a little magic lever almost. So right now I've got it in the up position. Going to move it back down to our regular position right there. Actually, I'm going to put material underneath there as well. Let me do that real quick. I'll put our denim underneath there. I'll close our little door temporarily. So I'm going to lower this presser foot like we're getting ready to sew. But realistically, we can't sew yet because we're going to pretend that there is a bobbin case that we've threaded, which we haven't done yet. And we want to bring that thread up without having to touch the balance wheel. And so without touching the balance wheel, what we can do with this same magic lever right here is we can push it just a little bit further down, and you're going to see that needle sweep down into the bobbin case. And that's the way you can pull that thread up without having to even touch the balance wheel. I'll just demonstrate it one time. See that? That needle swept down. And if we had a bobbin case in there with that bobbin case threaded properly, it would grab that thread and pull that thread up for us straight away so we could be ready to sew. So this is really a neat function on here with this presser foot lever, because it does a variety of things. It disengages the clutch when we move it to the highest position. When we're at this position right now, we're ready to sew. Not really, because we don't have the machine threaded and we don't have a bobbin in there, so we're not really ready to sew, but we got material underneath there so we could hit the gas if we wanted. Of course, right now it's probably going to go in reverse. Yeah, it will. Or maybe go forward, or maybe not. But the point is, it does a lot of things. And as you learn the functions of this 1222E, you're going to be amazed at what this machine is capable of doing. It truly is amazing. Truly amazing. Yeah. All right, I'm going to raise that presser foot back up again. Pull that material out of the way. Let's actually wind a bobbin for real now. Let's actually wind a bobbin for real. All right, let me get the camera changed a little bit. So I think you can see across the machine here pretty much. I'm going to grab our fancy Coats & Clark 40 weight embroidery thread, this stuff right here. And I think we'll wind a bobbin off of this spool. And then I've got another spool that I'm going to be taking this fancy plastic off of here. If anyone has any tips on how to get this plastic off, let me know. I always have trouble getting this plastic off when they like wrap it all the way around the spool like that. And then I'm going to be sending this spool with the machine so that Sandy and Joelle, when this machine arrives out in California, they can play with the colorful thread. And if you're wanting to pick this thread up for yourself, it's called bubble gum. That's what Coats & Clark calls this type of embroidery thread. Again, it's 40 weight, so it's a little bit more sturdy than some of the other embroidery threads out there, like that rayon stuff and other stuff like that people use. So it's going to be nice and sturdy, but it's also going to be incredibly beautiful to sew with. And the number on the bottom at Joann's, if you want to go to Joann's and pick some up, it's art. Here, I'll just show it to you. This is the stuff we're going to be using tonight. But on the shelf at Joann's, they call it bubblegum embroidery thread. Right away, I'm reaching into my pocket to see if I have any bubble gum. And guess what? Didn't have a single piece. Didn't have a single piece available. So yeah, if you want to pick some of this up at Joann's, they've got it on the shelf. And I was surprised for it's like 600 yards or something like that. It's a lot of thread. Maybe it says it on the bottom. Yeah, 600 yards. 600 yards was only like $7. $7 for this stuff at Joann's. And if I had bought 3 of these, I could have gotten 2 for free. Yeah, I think they do it on this stuff as well. I'm pretty sure they do. But really nice thread. Really, really nice thread. So anyway, I'm going to put my thread on top right there. I think you can see that. Maybe I need to elevate this a little bit. Let me see if I need to elevate this just a little bit. Exactly. That might be a little bit better. Okay, then you're going to take your thread and you're going to go around this tensioner right here. You're going to go clockwise around it, like so. I draw it in there, and then the threads will be crossing each other. And then I'm going to be winding this counterclockwise. On this machine, it works a little bit better if you go counterclockwise when you go around the spool when you're getting ready to wind it. Okay, I think that's enough times. Now I'm going to engage it by just sliding this forward. And now hold on. And I've already got my presser foot in the up position. So the clutch should automatically be disengaged now. And now let's wind this puppy. Yeah, let's give it a wind. this thing's going. Slow down, dude. What are you going to a fire? Slow down, buddy. I know what it is. That paper on the bottom kind of gets caught a little bit, doesn't it? Hold on just a second. I'm spinning this fast enough that paper kind of gets caught on the bottom as it's spinning, and it's kind of interfering a little bit. There we go. Should have just peeled all of that stuff off, shouldn't I? And once we get to a certain point, this will automatically disengage. Just kind of watch for it, listen for it, etc. Getting real close. There we go. So it automatically disengages, and now we're all set where we can actually put a bobbin into the machine. But we're going to do a couple of maintenance things real quick first. Do a couple of maintenance things real quick first. And one of the complaints a lot of people have is winding the bobbin evenly. Look at how beautifully Joelle and Sandy's machine winds that bobbin. It's just absolutely spot on. And there are some adjustments underneath the hood here. We're going to take the hood of this off because I want to show you a couple of maintenance things on this machine. And it'll be beneficial to Nola as well, who just acquired one of these machines. She just got one of these machines, and it'll be really cool for her to see some of these maintenance tips I'll give. And some of them are in the manual, but I don't think the manual gives you some tips that are really essential for the machine that I would recommend highly. So let me get this undone there real quick. I'm going to take my watch off too, just I don't want to move around this machine too much and bump it. So set that back over there, take my ring off as well. So a couple little maintenance tips. Also, I'll show you, along with some of the other stuff I did to the machine, this is one of the parts that on this machine, because of the way it's built, this in all likelihood for Nola, as Nola uses her machine more and more and more, eventually this is going to fail. This is a light assembly. And when this machine arrived at the workshop and we did the unboxing, which was a lot of fun, I saw right away that light assembly was basically inside of the machine. There was an empty space right here, and this assembly had given out. And so this is one of the areas, just because of the repetitive motion, on, off, which might almost inspire someone now to say, I'm just going to leave the light on and unplug the machine and not deal with pushing it on and off all the time. And you can do that. You can certainly leave the light on and just unplug it, but it's going to take tens of thousands of on, off, on, off, on, off. You can only imagine how many times this light was turned on and off before Sandy and Joelle ever acquired the machine in 1981, and then the number of times that they turned it on and off over the years. So it's going to give out eventually, even though it's Western Germany technology and built incredibly well. It's just the repetitive motion on and off. So, just be aware that that's something that could fail on the machine. It's a little bit of a booger to change it out, but you run into that, send it to the shop, the new workshop, send it to the new workshop, and I'll take care of that for you. So a little quick maintenance. Let's focus on a little maintenance real quick. I'll show you top as well. To take the lid off, let me see if I can show this to you. To take the lid off of this machine, like a lot of machines, you're just going to grab it like this, kind of pinch the edges and give it a little wiggle, and it comes off straight away. There's a number of maintenance things on the bottom. You can certainly use a little bit of rubbing alcohol with a Q-tip swab just to clean off this bobbin winding tire. It's a special type of tire, so if you can't just put any bobbin winding tire, because these little grooves need to interlace with the rim of the balance wheel, and it won't work quite as well if you put a regular bobbin winding tire on there. And then just do some general cleaning on the bottom just to keep it tidied up a little bit. And looking inside of the machine, you see over here we've got our upper tension right here, upper tension unit. You got to clean that periodically using one of those little dental brushes I showed you in the other live stream. You run it through there with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, rotate the discs around, get that all tidied up. Keep your mechanics here clean as well. This area right here is part of your cam stack, and you want to put just a little bit of grease on there periodically. You see a little bit of remnants on there, but I'm going to put a little bit more fresh grease on there to keep that running tip top. So many oiling points, I can't point them all out. A ton of oiling points in conjunction with all of these buttons to generate the stitches. Like I say, wherever you see something that can pivot or pitch or move up and down, put just a tiny little drop of oil on there. And for these buttons in particular, I definitely use a crystal white type sewing machine oil. Don't use any yellowing type oil, or it's going to cause these pivot points to clog up, and then the buttons won't function as they're supposed to function. So use only crystal white sewing machine oil. And you can buy that in a variety of different places. It says crystal white right on it. Is it crystal white, Susie, or is it lily white? You looked at it, I think, when you were in the workshop just recently. I can grab the bottle down here. I think I can grab the bottle. Yeah, crystal white. Crystal white. Comes in gallons. And I think it's actually shipped out of California is where I buy mine. Comes out of California where Sandy and Joelle are. But this is great stuff because it doesn't stain. It doesn't leave a residue behind. It just provides very, very good lubrication. So you pick this stuff on Amazon, eBay, pretty much anywhere. So, and over on this cam assembly, don't put any grease on here. Just keep it clean with a Q-tip swab and some rubbing alcohol. Swab it off. And you can see, like I explained, there is not a traditional belt on these machines. This series of machines, the 1222s, 1221s, or even the 1211 that I had on the workbench before. It's a cleated style belt. So you've got positive traction to the balance wheel from the motor. So it's got a lot of torque on launch, a lot of drive, a lot of power that normally you would lose in the transfer of the motor output pulley to the balance wheel. Here you've got direct drive, positive traction with the cleated belt. Really, really a nice design that a lot of manufacturers use those, but the Germans in Western Germany really started that movement. Yeah, what else can I show you? I guess I could show you the machine. Let's see. Show you the machine operating with the lid off a little bit. And yes, it's incredibly quiet. It's been totally serviced and optimized. So yeah, I could watch that all day long. It's kind of fun to watch mechanics, isn't it? The mechanics of the machine doing their dance. Yeah, I love it. Okay. All right, let me put this back on. I've got to be aware of the time. I'm like a little kid, I'll forget the time. And when you put it back on, I usually rock it from the front back. Just snaps back into place again. Okay. So we wound the bobbin. Oh yeah, now we're going to do a little bit of maintenance on the bobbin case. And this has a combination of kerosene and crystal white sewing machine oil. So it's a mixture of the two. And you can change the ratio depending on the type of machine you're on. Some machines are more prone to rusting issues. Then you'll increase the kerosene to a higher percentage, like a 60-40 mix. Otherwise, with most sewing machines, like a 1222 E like this, it's an aluminum-based type machine, and they're not as prone to rusting. You could do a 50-50 mix between kerosene and crystal white sewing machine oil. But I always use a little bit more kerosene in the high friction, high running portions of the machine. So I use it in the raceway. I use it in the bobbin case. Anywhere there's going to be a lot of spin up with high RPMs, the kerosene is going to be a little bit longer lasting than the crystal white sewing machine oil. So this mix in here right now in my little bottle is right around a 60-40 mix, 60-40. So you're just swabbing the inside of the bobbin case. Make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure it's got a nice slick surface. Do around the mounting point as well. Also inside of the mounting point. You see, I've actually slid it inside and I'm swabbing that as well because that's what's going to mount on the machine. And you want to have that lubricated as well so that as the machine is spinning up, it's just gonna hold it at a better rate of speed. And then we also open up the raceway, kind of tilt the machine back just a little bit. Well, let me move my little car first. Tilt it back a little bit. You'll be able to get a little glimpse of the raceway here, and there you'll just lightly swab that area. Just lightly swab it. And periodically, I don't know if the manual recommends it or not, but I would. You'll put 1 or 2 drops of crystal white type sewing machine oil and or a kerosene mix in the raceway to provide lubrication for the hook about every 6 to 8 hours of sewing. So as I kind of throttle it up a little bit, you'll see that hook rotating on the outside. So your oil is going to go right between the hook and that retainer point right there, right about here. So I'll put a little drop, tiny little drop of oil right there. And then that hook will distribute it all the way around. And you always distribute the oil by running the machine like that before you put the bobbin case in. That way that oil has had a chance to go all the way around the hook assembly and lubricate all of those surfaces just naturally from the motion of the machine. All right, so now we're going to put I think we're ready to put our bobbin in there. And when you're putting the bobbin in this machine, you're going to have the thread coming underneath the bottom like this. In the book, it shows you holding the bobbin case in the opposite hand, but the end result is you want to make sure that that thread, once it's in the bobbin case, is going to be turning counterclockwise. So I'm inserting it right now like that. I bring that thread up into that track right there. And then I have to draw that all the way underneath this tension band right here. And you can see 2 screws right here. One is going to be a set screw on the left. The other one's going to be the adjusting screw, the larger of the 2. So if your top stitching looks like it's loose, you can do one of 2 things. You can either back off the upper tension so that this has more pull down, or you can turn this in very, very small increments clockwise, and then this will increase the pull down factor to define those top stitches better. Okay? I've got to draw it all the way into place now until it goes all the way underneath like that. Can't tell if the camera's focusing or not. There it is. And then as I'm pulling this thread as if we're sewing with it mounted in the machine like this, that bobbin case is going to be turning counterclockwise. Okay? All right, give me a little bit more thread here. Go ahead and put it in the raceway now. Kind of just gently rock it back and forth and then snap it into place. Oh, I got to do one thing first, so see my needle was down. Draw that needle up. That needle happened to be blocking it, didn't it? Okay, now let's thread the machine. I'll change my angle of the camera a little bit. We've got the bobbin case inserted. We've serviced the bobbin case. We did a little bit of servicing on top of the machine. And now we're going to thread this 1222E. I'll kind of rotate it a little bit like this so you can see this hopefully a little bit better. So off the back, I'm going to grab that fancy embroidery thread. I'm going to open up the new package that'll go with the machine out to California. Now I've got to get this silly plastic stuff off. Does anybody have any tips on getting the plastic off? They don't make it easy, do they? And I just cut my nails. So I bet you Susie ends up sending me a text saying, do this. Do this, Scott. Ha ha. I think they do this because it's like an intelligence test, and I fail it every time. So, Jiminy crickets. Should just tear down. I think they use like Use like a heavy gauge plastic or something. Come on. I'll tell you what. I'm going to send this as a gift with the sewing machine and let Sandy and Joelle take the plastic off because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. There's probably a real simple way to do it. We get desperate during the live stream when we run out of this fancy thread, then I'll have Susie give me a clue on how to get this open. Yeah, I'm going to give up on it for now. Let's get this machine threaded and do some sewing. And then I'll work on that plastic later. Okay. So we've got a pretty good angle on the machine right now, I think. So I'm going to grab our thread that's already open, thank goodness. And we'll put it on the back of the thread mount. And here's where you got to make sure that that presser foot lever is in the up position so there's no tension on these discs right here. And we're going to draw it right through the faceplate into those discs. And grab both sides and make sure you pull it in. I knew Susie was going to do that. So draw it in nice and tight. You'll feel it actually snap into position. You got to pull a little bit harder and then it'll snap into those discs nice and deep. Okay. Now I know I have it in the disc properly. Now from here, I'm going to take it underneath this thread guide right here, snap it into place, take my take-up arm to the highest position, go ahead and draw that into the take-up arm from left to right. Then I've got to go from right to left through this thread guide right here, snap it into place, angle the camera down a little bit. Actually, I'll lower it down a little bit too. This is what I'm using, one of my part spins to elevate the camera a little bit. Oh, give me 1 second here. So we're going to have a thread guide right here. You can see that in the shot. Might be a little bit hard to see. There's a thread guide right there, right above the needle, right next to the needle tightener. Right there. We have to draw that from the back so that it's centered on here because we're going to be threading this needle from front to back. Okay. Draw that thread right through here. And then I'm going to thread that needle from front to back. And I'm going to lower that presser foot. For me, at least, it works a little bit easier sometimes if that presser foot is down just in the threading process. It's not obscuring your view then. And then you got a better chance of getting that thread to go through on the first try. Okay, raise that presser foot back up again. And then I'm going to be drawing this thread. Just make sure I didn't twist it. Yeah. You're going to then be putting this thread through the side of this presser foot at kind of the right side and drawing it back. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to use that presser foot lever again to draw the thread up from the bobbin case. We could just easily rotate the balance wheel, but instead of doing that, we'll use the feature of the machine. So I'm just going to hold onto this thread in the back, and then I'll reach behind and I'll feel for that presser foot. So I've lowered it down 1 click. Now I'm going to push it down just a little bit further, and that needle should sweep down and grab that thread and pull it up for us automatically. Okay, raise your presser foot again, and just draw that thread up a little bit. There we go. Close our little door and bring those threads to the back now. Okay. And the needle that I decided to use, because earlier today when I was doing the live stream, Joelle seemed really excited about this machine sewing leather. So I decided to go with a leather needle, which will be a little bit different when we're sewing the cotton. Leather needles obviously react differently to cotton than they would do to leather, but I think we'll be okay. And this is a size 90-14, so it's kind of medium range. It's not a harpoon needle. It's just a nice medium range leather type needle. And I'll check with Joelle and Sandy before I ship a machine. If they want it set up with a universal needle, I can pop a universal in instead of the leather needle. So, yeah. Okay. What else? Oh, I'll give you some quick measurements as well, just so you know, if you buy aftermarket bobbins, you want to make sure you get the right kind of bobbin with the right dimensions. So we'll just do a quick measurement on an original PFAFF bobbin, and then you know you've got the right stuff. So we'll measure it like this first of all, right about there to the center point. And you're looking at right around just a little bit shy of 10 millimeters. Just a little bit shy of 10 millimeters, if you can see that in the shot. And then the height is really important. Measure it like this, right around 21.5 millimeters. 21.5 millimeters. And it's usually not a factor on these machines because they have that magnetic mount when you're winding the bobbin. But I always check the center hole too, just in case I decide to use that bobbin on another style PFAFF machine that requires mounting. So the outside measurements on this hole for the mounting point is right around, let's see, 5, 6, 7, right around 8 millimeters. Right around 8 millimeters. And even if you're not winding these bobbins on an older style PFAFF machine that might have a mounting, you got to be aware that this is also going to be sliding over that post in the machine when you slide that bobbin case in. And when you put this into the bobbin case, and if it's a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be, it'll have a little bit of a wiggle jiggle as it's spinning up in that machine. So, and that can cause feed problems with the thread. So measurements are important, even though they seem like it's kind of overkill. They're still important. Okay, Susie sent me a text message, probably telling me how to get that silly plastic off of that spool, that big spool thingy. Susie said, I put my hand around it like removing a bottle cap and twist it off. That's actually brilliant. Let me see if that works. Kind of twist it off like a bottle cap. Got a little bit of oil residue on my hands. Let's see if that. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's a great idea, Susie. Look at that. Yay. Ha ha! See what I always say? Sometimes a teacher always what? Always what? Type it in the live chat. Sometimes a teacher always, see that? Susie just shared her knowledge as a fellow teacher. I'm trying to dig in there with tweezers. I'm getting ready to grab the chainsaw. I'm going to yell for Hank to come down and grab it with his teeth. And she's like, just twist it off. Just twist it off. That's brilliant. That worked perfectly, didn't it? So now we have this as a backup. Otherwise, I'll send it with the machine, and Sandy and Joelle can have fun with this stuff, this bubblegum embroidery thread. Hope I didn't mess anything up when I was trying to grab at it with the tweezers and stuff. Yeah. Ha-ha. Thank you, Susie. Ha-ha. Awesome. That's great. Never would have thought of that. Just twist it off like a bottle cap. Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. Just spinning my wheels real quick on what else. Oh, yeah. Let's cover the features and the lay of the land on this machine real quick. And then let's actually sew with it. Who knew, right? Who knew? All right. Let's face this machine like this. There we go. Okay. So starting over here, we already know about the on-off switch that was broken on the machine when it arrived at the workshop. You want the light on, and this has an LED light in it now. Light on, light off, light off. You know what I meant. light on. Over here, I'll turn the machine just a little bit further. Over here, we've got this control, and it looks just like the 1211, that flatbed FAFF that was on the workbench before. Here we've got a bunch of things on this control. Kind of look at it close, because we're going to be messing around with this control quite a bit during the live stream today. I think that's pretty focused. So here we've got needle position. This is going to be our needle position, this center knob. If we want a right needle position, we turn it to the right, like this. We want a center needle position, we put it back where we started. We want a left needle position, we turn it like that. Pretty simple. This outer dial here is going to give us control over length and also stitch width as well. It's going to give us both. Right now, I've got it set on the longest stitch for straight stitching, which is 4. If I want to go shorter on that straight stitch, I just keep rotating it counterclockwise like this. Finally, we're all the way down to about 1.5. I don't know if I'd go all the way down to 1 on this, because if you rotate the stitch length too short, you're not going to get adequate material feed. And so I wouldn't go there. This is for buttonholing right here, but also on some of these decorative ornamental stitches. That quick guide that we looked at, that paper guide, and then the one that Joelle sent me via text, this thing right here, it's also going to tell us to set it sometimes for doing some of these fancy stitches. It's going to tell us to set this sometimes on that buttonhole. What I'm going to tell you in the live stream today is even a perfectly calibrated 1222E, you don't necessarily want to set it right on the buttonhole setting. You want to set it a little bit to the left, right about there. Yeah, kind of like between the buttonhole and the 1 for most of the stitching that we're going to be doing today. You kind of offset it a little bit so that you have adequate material feed. Otherwise, for some of these stitches, it's going to be laying down such an overlay of thread, you're going to create a mess if you try setting it right there. So just offset it a little bit right there, and you'll be good to go. And then you get into the zigzagging over here. You've got a 5 setting, kind of a little range in there. You got a 6 setting for zigzagging. You got a 7 setting and a little range. You got an 8 setting and a little range. And then finally, you've got a 9 setting way over here, which is going to give you the widest zigzag that this 1222E can lay down over in this area. And you can just keep turning this all day long. Keep turning it all day long, but we're going to stop right there on the 4. Okay? So that's the functions of that. Now we get into the functions up here. You're already an expert on bobbin winding. We know all the tricks of that, and we know about putting the presser foot lever in the up position to disengage the clutch. We know that when we want to engage it, we drop a bobbin on there, we push this forward, and then we go around this tensioner right here clockwise, and then come back over here, and then wind counterclockwise around the bobbin, and then this will disengage automatically. We know all about that. We're good to go. Now, what about these little dials up here? This is why, if you look at this dial right here with the symbol on it, you can see the symbol that is. There it is. That's why I put my Batman shirt on for this live stream this evening. To me, it almost looks like a bat, or a bat, a bat symbol. This one in the back really looks like a bat. This one right here. And so that's why I'm Batman. I'm Batman tonight. Ha ha! Yeah, I am. So let's talk about these dials real quick. These dials, the one on the front is going to be the pattern length. In other words, all of these patterns that we can potentially sew here, and also on the extended version that Joelle sent me via text, all of these patterns, this is going to determine the length of that pattern. So we've got a range of about 18 all the way down to 10. If I rotate this like this, you can see you have a high number of 18. I can keep rotating it down, rotating it down and down and down, all the way down to 10. And we'll set this according to what that stitch paper tells us to do when we're doing these various stitches. But when you're wanting to do basic straight stitching and zigzagging, you don't want to set it on one of these numbers. You want to set it on the Batman symbol. Or to be politically correct, you set it on the bat person symbol. You set it on the bat person symbol, which is all the way back here. I'm going to see if my light shines that up a little bit more because it's so dark. There it is. So for straight stitching and zigzagging, set it on this. When you get into some of the specialty stitches, you're going to have to potentially rotate this little dial to one of the numbers that it tells you to rotate it to. Or sometimes it tells you to put it between two numbers as well. So just read and see what it says and then do that. This other dial on the back with the bird symbol on it, or the bat symbol, all the way in the back, is going to be your calibration for starting at the beginning of each stitch pattern. So if you're wanting to do one of those fancy patterns that's on that sheet over there, or the patterns that Joelle sent me via text, you always want to start at the beginning of the pattern. So this might be right there, because in the sewing process, this is going to be turning. It's going to be turning, turning, and turning, and turning, and turning. So if you want to start at the beginning of the pattern when you launch, you've got to rotate it back to that bat symbol and get it centered right on that little marker there in the center. Almost there. Right there. Okay? So now we know when we launch one of those patterns, it's going to be at the very start of that pattern. That's the problem with some of the machines, even the Swedish Beauties that have those black cams in the back. When you're launching into one of those pattern sew-offs, you never know where you're going to start. It might be at the beginning of the pattern. It might be in the middle of the pattern. You might get very fortunate, and it might be right at the beginning of the pattern. But with this PFAFF 1222E, and even some of the earlier versions that are similar to this, you have this little calibrator here, so you know you're always going to start right at the beginning of the pattern. You won't have to second guess that. Let me grab my little light again. I think it's kind of dark. There it is. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Okay, and again, our little buttons here. Let's look at our buttons. These buttons are going to be numbered from bottom up. So looking at button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now on the pattern thing that Joelle and Sandy have, they're using letters because they migrated to letters apparently later in the production of the 1222Es. So if you have something like this, instead of being numbers, like it shows right on here, 1 through 5, 6 through 10, there might well be letters, but they're going to be in the same sequence. So instead of 1, it'll be A. Instead of 2, it'll be B, and so on and so forth. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, you know the alphabet better than I do, probably. So, at any rate, just substitute the number for a letter. If you've got a copy of this and it's got the letters instead of the numbers. But on mine, at least, for setting all of these, it's got numbers. So it's going to say like 1 plus 3. It's going to say 1. It's going to say 1 plus 5, 2 plus 4, etc., etc., etc. for setting this. And I know that Susie is going to provide a link of at least this stitch output, similar to what I have here, which is going to be up to the 42nd stitch. Joelle's is going to have another 15 to 20 stitches beyond this, and I believe it's going to have letters instead of numbers, if any of that makes sense. I think it does. And there's only a couple of stitches that in this far column, as we're looking at these, let's say we look at number 24. if you can see that in the shot number 24. You're going to see that we have to push down button number 5, which is going to be this button right here in the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have to have a center needle position for number 24. I'll get my finger out of the way. A center needle position. And then the stitch length, which is this pattern length. Wait, I'm sorry. The stitch length, which is this right here, the outer control for 24, they're going to recommend 2.5. So we would set this to 2.5. We would rotate this right about to there. You can see that in the shot. And then finally, it's telling us instead of setting a number on the pattern length with our Batman symbol, we're going to leave it on the Batman symbol for number 24. The only other thing we need to do, if we were, say, doing stitch number 23 right above it, is we would also have to take our lever here and we have to move this all the way to the top. And we're going to learn a little bit more about this lever as well on Joelle and Sandy's machine, this particular lever here. Just like the lever on the back for presser foot control and for raising and lowering the presser foot has multiple functions, as we learned in the live stream today. This has multiple functions as well. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. And we'll do some of these stitches that require that we also adjust that special lever on the front of the machine. So, all right, what else? Once we push a button down, say we push down button number 1 for a stitch. To get it to pop back up, we just push this release right here. Same thing if we're going to be pushing down multiple buttons, we always push this to release it to get it to pop back up. All right, let's talk a little bit about this special lever on the front of the machine right over there. So this special lever right here, when it's in this position right here, let's think of this like a clock. Think of this like a clock. When it's pointing towards the 3 o'clock position, that's where you're going to have it for normal sewing. You're going to have it pointing at the 3 o'clock position as if this is a clock for normal sewing. If you want to do back tacking or reverse sewing, but you want to do it intermittently, you're just going to push this down and it's going to reverse sew until you let go of it. If you want to sew in reverse continuously, kind of like the Swedish beauties that have like the 21E, the 19E, that have that reverse button that you can, I've shown you in the live streams where you can push it in and down a little bit and then it locks in position so you don't have to hold that reverse in the whole time. The PFAFF equivalent of that on this 1222E is to take this lever from the 3 o'clock position and move it to the 12 o'clock position, like so. When it's in the 12 o'clock position, excuse me, it's going to be sewing in reverse continuously until you change it. Now, does anyone know, including Nola, because Nola's just getting to know this machine. She's just getting to know it. I'm going to shut the light off for a second. She's just getting to know this machine. Does anyone know how in heaven's name do you drop the feed dogs on this 1222E? For regular sewing, we're going to be right here. For reverse sewing continuously, we're going to be right here. For intermittent reverse sewing, we're going to push it down and hold it. Then we're going to release it again when we want to resume sewing forward. Where on here? Is it over here? Is it over here? Can we drop the feed dogs on this 1222E? If so, how do we do that? How to do that? I'm going to look at the live chat real quick and see what folks are saying. Does anyone know how to drop the feed dogs for darning, free motion quilting, freehand embroidery? How in heaven's name do we drop the feed dogs on this 1222E? Is it up here? It's not that. That's how we make the buttons pop back up. It's not here. It's not that. It's not that. This is bobbin winding. Where do you drop feed dogs on this machine? Or maybe you can't drop feed dogs. What do you think? What do you think? Give me you're not a wrong answer. You're just gonna throw some guesses out there. Tell me what you think. Nobody wants to guess. Nobody. They're like, I'm not gonna poke that bear. I'm not gonna try to guess at that. I'm not gonna try to guess. There's no way. So since no one's willing to take a guess, I'm just gonna tell you. This special lever again for review. Reverse sewing, push it down and hold it. Let it go when you don't want to reverse sew anymore. When you're wanting to sew just normally forward, just leave it like this. When you want to reverse sew continuously, put it right there. When you want to drop the feed dogs for darning and for free motion quilting, etc., rotate it from the 12 o'clock position to the 9 o'clock position. So right now in the 9 o'clock position, you can actually have a darning symbol right there. So we know right now that the feed dogs are down. The feed dogs are dropped down right now, and we're able to do free motion quilting. We're able to do free hand embroidery. We're able to do anything we want to do without feed. And it's not until we rotate this back to the 12 o'clock position that those feed dogs will resume doing their job again. But right now we're going to be sewing in reverse, which isn't good. So we want to move it back to our regular setting right there. And then we'll be sewing forward. And when we want to sew in reverse, we can just push this down intermittently, etc. So hopefully that's helpful. If this magic lever on the front is helpful to anyone, including Nola, give me a thumbs up or a smiley face in the live chat if you'd be so kind. That way I know that explanation is helpful. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be super cool. All right, I'm going to back this up a little bit. I'm going to rotate this machine around, and we're finally going to sew with it. Maybe. You never know. Okay. Turn our light back on. And let me ask the owner. I'm going to start with some basics, and then we'll launch into some specialty type sewing with this machine. And I'll start out with cotton, and then we'll move into some of the leather sewing as well. We might even sew some denim also. Okay, so I'm going to get this into position. Lower our presser foot down. And if we want to do just a good old-fashioned straight stitch, let me get my take-up arm all the way up. We want to do a good old-fashioned straight stitch. We're set up pretty much already. We want to have the Batman symbol like that. And we want to adjust our stitch length. I'm going to put it right about 4. I've got a center needle position. You can see that in the shot. Center needle position. We're set on 4 for stitch length for a straight stitch. Let's try to lay down a straight stitch and see what happens. That voice of confidence. Lay down a straight stitch and see what happens. Oh, I know what else I didn't show you. Oops. I didn't show you one other thing. I actually didn't show you 2 other things. This again is our upper tension right here. If you need more upper tension, you're going to rotate this forward. If you need less upper tension, you're going to push it to the rear. And if anyone in the live chat right now wants to explain, what does upper tension do? Does it define the top stitch? Does it define the lock stitch? Does it make my coffee maker come on early in the morning so that I have a hot coffee when I get out of bed? What does this upper tension control do right here as far as managing stitch quality and stitch output? The other thing is, if you don't want to squint like me and look funny, when you're trying to thread that needle, this also has an auto needle threader right here too. I forgot to point that out. It's got an auto needle threader, so you don't have to squint and look funny like me. Okay? All right, so I'm going to lay down a straight stitch, then I'll lay down a zigzag next to it, and then we'll get into some of the specialty sewing from there. And again, I'm going to be sewing with a leather needle by Schmetz, size 90-14, sewing cotton. I'm sewing cotton with a leather needle because it's how I roll. It's how I roll. All right, so here we go. Let's do a straight stitch, and then we'll jump into some of the fun stuff that we've got after that, okay? And if you hear a little bit of it almost sounds like a whispering, like a whoosh, 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 whoosh. After you oil your hook, for a period of time, it'll make a little bit of a whisper sound while that oil is still wicking off and working its way through the system. So don't let that alarm you. That's totally normal. That's totally normal. So I'm going to raise my presser foot, draw this out real quick. And then we'll do a zigzag after this. And then we'll jump into some of the real fun stuff. Yeah, beautiful tensions to start. So that's good, especially considering we're using a leather needle. So I'm going to line this back up again, lower that presser foot. And if you're sewing different materials and you need a needle down, just remember you've got that presser foot lever in the back, and you can push it down just a little bit further. And if you hold it for a second, that needle will stay in the down position, so you can rotate that material with that needle down without touching the balance wheel. It's another function of the machine. So, all right, let's get a zigzag now. So I'll bring you back over here, rotate our stitch dial on the outside, and we'll just go to we're not going to go all the way to 9. We'll go to about an 8. Again, remember, these are broken out. You got 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I think 5 is the lowest one. So I'm going to set it right on 8 for a zigzag. And now we'll try doing a zigzag on this 100% cotton. And always, I say it in all the live streams, I probably drive people buggy saying it over and over again, but make sure your take-up arm is at the highest position, just beginning to start that downstroke. See that? It's going to give you the best launch possible. All right, let's do a zigzag down this 100% cotton now, and then we'll get into some of the fun stitches. That's fun. That's really cool. All right, give that a clip. Bring that to the rear. What's our run time? 1 hour and 48 minutes. Okay, we're doing fine on time. I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. I've been waiting to present Joelle and Sandy's machine for a long time. So, oh, wait a second. I forgot to rotate that back down. I apologize. I forgot to rotate that back down. You were probably looking, I don't know, you're probably looking at the Singer Repairman. You're probably looking at the Singer Repairman instead of the stitching. I apologize. It's been a long day, and it's getting a little bit late, so I might get a little goofy. Leadership team, just send me a text message if I start acting goofy, okay? Just send me a text message. Okay, I'm going to take a look at this. So this is our straight stitching and our zigzag. Can't tell if it's focusing or not. There it is. And this is our top stitch. I'm actually seeing that the top stitch is probably pulling a little bit harder than it needs to. So probably going to look at adjusting our tension on the faceplate just a little bit. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stitching. We'll look at it like this. Sometimes easier to see it vertical like this. Now look at that lock stitching. This is our lock stitching on the back. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. All right. Well, let's get into some of the fun stitching. Let's get into some of the fun stitching. And I'm going to invite Joelle if she wants to remind me. I think one of the stitches she wanted me to do the other day was 52. Joelle, remind me if you would, either in the live chat or text me the numbers you gave me the other day that you wanted me to try, the number stitches. Otherwise, I can look at your text message as well. I can look at your text message and pull it up. Let's see. I'm gonna bring that take up arm all the way up. Let's see here. There's Joelle's. Let's see here. What number was it, Joelle, that you wanted to see? Was it 52 and 56 or something like that? See, this is the text message she sent me of the other stitch options that can on this 1222E. I'm going to show this on the camera so that other people that don't have these stitches, they can see what they are and maybe see what the settings are for them. See, I think there was one above that too. Oh, and Joelle also shared with me a picture back in 1981 of the first project that Sandy did on this 1222E. You can see they've got it set up in a table, so you have kind of an extended free arm almost. The table is your free arm. But this is right after Sandy got this machine from the Sew Vac. The first project. Now, I don't remember what Joelle said the project was. Maybe some draperies or something like that. Yeah. 1981. That's going a ways back. Not to sound like a smart aleck, but in 1981, I was a junior in high school. Ha ha! 1981, I was a junior in high school. So, and we still had home economic classes back in the 80s. I don't know when they eliminated them. I have no idea when they eliminated the classes for home ec. Okay, Joelle just sent me a cheat sheet. I think she did. Oh, Susie sent me a summary. 7, 11, 19, 26, 52, 58. Okay, let's start with those. I'm just going to write on an extra piece of paper. Seven, 11, 19, 26, 52, 58. Okay, let's see here. 7, 11, 19, 26, 52, 58. Okay, now we got to figure out how to set them. So since I have the phone here right now, I should probably just do the 52 and 58 straight away. That way I know exactly what to do. Let's see, where is it? So let's do 52 first. 52 first. Okay, so 52 is the second one from the top. 52 is the second one from the top. So you can see with the settings that I'm going to be doing to try to achieve this stitch. And then after 52, we'll do 58. 52, then 58. And once I get through all of these stitches that that Sandy and Joelle want to see, if anyone else wants to jump in based on the sheet that Susie posted a link for, it's going to be a different sheet than the one that we're using with Joelle. But if anyone wants to then request certain stitch numbers, we can do some additional stitches after we do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. Okay. So now let me try to get this. Let me try to get this set up now. I'll try to get this set up now. Okay, so for 52, I've got to do F and I. I believe it's F and I. Let's see, A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I. Okay. So for 52, I've got to put down F and I. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. I think it's going to be these two right here. Did I do that right? A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Yeah, it's going to be these two. So see, I can push these two down. So for those of you that do better with numbers like me, it's going to be the equivalent of 6 and 9. 6 and 9, or F and I on this other sheet that Joelle has. Okay. All right. Thank goodness we got that. I've got to practice the alphabet now. I've got to start singing the alphabet every morning, or maybe when I'm washing my hands. I think it's, well, no, they say sing happy birthday when you're washing your hands, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so 52. Now it's telling us we need a left needle position, and then we're going to be just to the left of the bobbin setting. And then we've got one other number after that. I'm hoping I can read it. Let's see. It looks like 11. Looks like 11. Okay, let me get these set. Okay, there. What else do I do? Let's see. Got that set. Then we have to do this. Okay, 11. Okay, I think I have everything set up. So look at stitch 52. Stitch 52. And then we're going to look at the machine and see if I did it right. 52. So we should have F and I down. Then we should have a left needle position. We should be on the bobbin, on the buttonhole symbol, but I'm going to be a little bit to the left of it. And then finally, we have to have our stitch pattern length set at 11. That's why I had to expand that to read it. So let's check the machine now, see if we did everything right. See if I did everything right. So buttons 6 and 9, which equates to F and I. So we did that right, I think. Our pattern length is set on 11. we've got our stitch length selector just to the left of the buttonhole symbol. And we've got our needle position. Actually, I've got to move our needle position to a left needle position. Let me just double check again. Yep, to a left needle position. So we should have everything set up correctly at this point. The only thing I'm going to change is our little bird is off a little bit. So I'm going to rotate that around and get it nice and centered again. So we're right at the beginning of the pattern. Okay, I think I have everything set correctly. Pretty sure. Maybe. All right, I'm going to set my phone over there. Yeah, that should be it. I think we got everything set. Let's try this next pattern that Joelle wants to see. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Oh, this is a cool one. This is super cool. And again, we're sewing 100% cotton with a stiffener with a leather needle and still getting some really, really nice looking stitch definition. Just going to check our stitch tension balance real quick. She looks really, really good. Got some really good balance. I could do a little bit more fine tuning, but I'm going to leave it alone for right now. Okay, so this is stitch 52. Let's take a look at this one, and then we'll do 58 right after it. So this is going to be our top stitching. Look at this first. Yeah, that's a cool pattern. I like that. And then our lock stitching, I'll kind of flip it around. We'll look at the lock stitching as well. Top stitching. Very, very nice. Very nice pattern. Very nice pattern. All right, let's try to do this next pattern now that Joelle picked out. I think it's 58. Let me see if I can pull that one up. Let's see if we can pull that one up next. Get this back into place. Okay, let me grab my phone because I don't have this as a printout. I just have it as a text message that that Joelle sent me. Yep, 58 is the one that we're looking for. 58. Okay. So for 58, I'll show that to you first. For 58, it looks like we're going to have to set I and J. We're going to need a left needle position again. We're going to be setting the stitch length in the same position, just a little bit to the left of the buttonhole symbol. And then we've got to set this one on 10. We've got to set the pattern length. The pattern length has to be on 10. So we're only going to be making a couple of changes to do this next one. Let's see what we think. So I'm going to set my phone there so I can keep an eye on that, make sure I get it right. 58, we're going to do I and J. The first thing we have to do is we have to clear those buttons that are pushed down right now. So I'm going to push our release. And now we're going to try to do I and J. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So it looks like we're going to be pushing number 9 and number 10. Number 9 and number 10. If I did that right. Let me see if I push those down. Oops. There we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Yep, I got it right. So far, I might still goof it up. So 9 and 10, or the equivalent of I and J. I and J. All right, I'm going to close that. Close that, and now we'll move over here. Before we forget, we'll set our calibration so we're starting at the beginning of the pattern right away. So we have our bird centered right about there. Then we have to change this to 10. Right now we're on 11. We got to go a little bit further down. We're not going to do anything with this outer dial because we're already set in the appropriate spot. And we already have a left needle position as well, which is what we need. So we're not going to touch anything else. We should be all set to do that next pattern. So let's check it out. Let's check this next pattern out. Now I can put my phone away. But yeah, it's really helpful. Joelle provided these extra stitches. You know, Joelle, if you're able or willing, we've got 51 to 60. If you're within reach of your stitch thing and you're able to take a picture of stitches 43 to 50, 43 to 50, I'll show that on camera as well. And that way people will have all the additional stitches that the stitch paper that I've got and the one that Susie posted don't cover. So a picture of 43 through 50, 43 through 50, and then I'll show that on the camera as well. That would be awesome. That would be super cool. All right, let's give this a go, see what we think. This is stitch 58, stitch 58. And you can see this last stitch we did, stitch 58, doesn't have any tri-motion. Some of the stitches we do during this live stream might have tri-motion. That's where you'll see the feed dogs manipulating the material back and forth very rapidly. This one is strictly needle swing. Strictly needle swing. Let's check this one out. Oh, that's a beautiful one too. Very, very pretty, Joelle. Very pretty. Very, very nice. Let's check this one out. This is number 58. We'll look at the top stitch, and then we'll look at the lock stitch afterwards. I didn't sew too straight, but just forgive me for that. Isn't that spectacular? That almost looks like a Batman symbol a little bit, doesn't it? Very, very nice. A bit like that too. Really pretty. Really a pretty stitch pattern, isn't it? Turn it over, look at that lock stitch. Very, very nice. Now I'll use my sheet to look up these other stitches that Joelle wanted to see, and we'll try those out as well. Try those out as well. And if anyone has any questions, don't be afraid to ask as we're going through this. Don't be afraid to ask. Press your foot down. All right. So the other stitches that Joelle had was 7, 11, 19, and 26. What time is it right now? Just checking our time. Going on 9 o'clock, going 10 o'clock, going on 10 o'clock East Coast time. Going on 8 o'clock. No, 7 o'clock. Going on 7 o'clock West Coast time, I think. Okay. So let's do 7 first. We'll do number 7 first. See if I can find that. I'll show you on the paper here. Actually, I don't have to show you because Susie posted it, so you can look at the same thing I'm looking at. So I won't be concerned about showing it to you. So stitch 7 is going to be buttons 1 and 5. Let's do that first. 1 and 5. I got to clear it first. So stitches 1 and 5 will be these two right here. Got to push that. And sometimes you'll go to push them and you'll have to switch the sequence. You can push them down sometimes at the same time. Sometimes you have to push one down and then the other one down. We'll see how it does. 1 and 5. That worked nicely. Good. So that's good to go. 1 to 5. 1 and 5. Stitch 7. Now we need to set a... We're in the left needle position still. We're not going to change that at all. We're already in the left needle position. And then we need to set our stitch length. It says 1.5. We're going to go just a tiny little bit longer. Just a tiny little bit longer, right around like 1.75. I'm just going to go just a tiny little bit longer. And what else? And then we're going to go to the Batman symbol. The Batman symbol for our stitch pattern length. So I've got to rotate this all the way back to that little symbol. Right to there. And with that, we should be good to go. There's no other settings for stitch 7. So, yeah, let's give this a go. This is going to be stitch number 7. stitch number 7. Now, this is a tri-motion stitch. Watch what the feed dogs are doing. Watch what the feed dogs are doing to achieve this pattern output. All right, I'm going to stop right there. And I think what I'll do for sake of time to keep us kind of rolling forward is I'll move right into the next pattern, and then we'll look at all of these together. You can kind of get an initial glimpse of them right there. And now I'll do the pattern number 11 is the next one that Joelle and Sandy wanted to see. So we'll go right into pattern 11, and then we'll look at all of these at the same time. Y'all didn't fall asleep, did you? It's getting late. I know it is. Y'all nudge each other or something to stay awake, okay? Stay awake. Here, I'll ring the bell to get you excited. All right, here we go. And if that made your dog start barking, I apologize. If your cat started barking, then I'm going to do it again because I'd like to see that. Do a little video clip of that. Okay, so now let's do stitch number 11. Stitch number 11. Stitch number 11. Okay, so for stitch number 11, if you're looking at your sheet online that Susie posted the link for, stitch number 11, we're going to be setting this up with buttons 2 and 3. So I'm going to go to the top, I'm going to reset, and then I'm going to push down buttons 2 and 3 for stitch 11. 2 and 3. Those buttons are down, 2 and 3. So now I'm going to go over to my needle position. We are stuck in left needle position. We're not going to change that. It's going to be the same left needle position, but we do need to change stitch length all the way up to 4. So I'm going to be taking this outer dial here, and I'm going to be rotating it in the straight stitch region to number 4. And then lastly, I'm going to be doing the Batman symbol, so I don't need to do a thing with that. All I need to do is reset our pattern position to the beginning. So I've got to rotate this one all the way back to that bird symbol. There we go. So we're going to do this next one, number 11, I believe it is, number 11. And then after that, we'll do pattern 19. Pattern 19 after that. Trying to get the right camera angle. There we go. All right, let's do this next one. And based on the length that it had us set this pattern to, based on the length of 4, which is really for the max, I'm guessing we're going to see quite a bit of movement as this machine is generating this particular pattern. Quite a bit of movement. What did I do with my pen? There it is. I lost my pen. I lost my pen. Okay, let's do pattern 11. See what we think of this one. Pattern 11. All right, here we go. Oh, try motion again. Try motion. Look at the feed dog movement. And just to prepare Joelle, after we finish doing all of the stitches that she wanted to see on cotton, I want her to pick out, if you would, Joelle, I want you to pick out 3 stitches. It can be from your list, stitches 43 to 60, 3 stitches within there, or it can be from our sheet, stitches 1 through 42. But I want you to pick out 3 of your top stitches that will sew then on saddle grade leather. Okay. So you don't have to give them to me right now, but just think about that. Your 3 top stitches, and we'll sew those on saddle grade leather after we get done doing all these. Okay. All right. Let me bring this around. And I'll tell you this, that when you're sewing on cotton using a specialty needle like a leather needle, because the anatomy of that needle is different, you might get some outcomes where the stitching is missing because the scarf and the setting of that needle is set up and designed to do leather. We're doing it on cotton with a stiffener. So as we look at these patterns, don't be shocked to see that. There's nothing wrong with the machine. It's just a matter of our setup is not going to be fully compatible for some of these stitch patterns, sewing them on cotton. So I'm going to continue down. We'll do the next stitch now that Joelle had. And then we'll move on to leather after this. Get that take-up arm up. Okay, so we just did stitch 11. Now we're going to do stitch 19. Stitch 19. And that's going to require buttons 3 and 7. 3 and 7. So we've got 3 and then we got 7. So this can be these 2 right here. 6, 7. Yep. 3 and 7. What is that? 20? No, 19. Okay, 19. Oh, now we're going to go to a right needle position. Now we're going to go to a right needle position with this pattern. And we're going to go to a stitch length. If it says 1.5, I think we'll go just a tiny little bit longer than that. We'll go to right around 2. Right about to there. And what else? And then for pattern length, it is giving me, let me see here, 12.5. 12.5. So I've got to take my pattern length and move it to 12.5. And then I'm going to recalibrate this as well. So it's the start of the pattern. Okay, we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and do this next one now. This again is going to be stitch pattern 19. Stitch pattern 19. Okay, I think we got everything set. I'm just going to double check again. 2, that's correct. That's correct. And that's correct. All right, let's do this next pattern. This is pattern 19. Yep, had to double check. It's been a long day. I'm starting to get a little foggy headed, so just steer me back if I wander off somewhere. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Oh, that's really a cool one too, isn't it? I'm going to show that to you. Very, very nice. Okay, now we're going to move on to the final one that was on Joelle's sheet, and that's 26. 26. And then we'll be looking at shifting materials a little bit and moving finally over to leather since we're working with a leather needle. And just remember, when you're working with specialty threads like embroidery threads, the anatomy of the needle is set up. The anatomy of the needle is set up to accommodate that type of thread. The eye's either going to be longer or shorter. The scarf can have a different depth to accommodate that thread. And as we're sewing with 40 weight embroidery thread, which is a specialty thread, and we're sewing with a leather needle, size 90-14, we're kind of mix matching the compatibility of those two a little bit. So all in all, I think we're doing a great job with outcome, but we will get some anomalies because of our setup. We will get some anomalies. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side. All right, let's do our last stitch that Joelle had. Stitch 26. Stitch 26. See if I can find that. Okay, this will be cool. All right, so I'm going to reset. Open up our little door. And we're looking at stitch 26. So we've got to push number 5, which is all the way up here. Close our door. It's only going to require one button for this particular stitch. And then we need to go back to a left needle position. Go back to a left needle position. So we're going to turn that all the way back over there. And we need to go into the zigzag region for the first time. Right now we're in the straight stitch region, if you can see that. We got to go all the way over to the zigzag region, and we're going to go specifically to 9. It looks like 9 at the very highest setting. So we got to keep going. That's 5. That's 6. My fan is blowing me now. That's 7. That's 8. And then finally all the way over to 9. And the little numbers right down there, you can see. We've been in the straight stitch the whole time. Now we're finally over in the zigzag region. And then finally on the stitch pattern length, we're going to be going back to the Batman symbol. with this pattern. And then we got to recalibrate this to the beginning of the pattern. All right, so let's try this one off. See what we think of this one. Yeah, this colored embroidery thread really is spectacular, isn't it? I really like it. Just going to check my settings one last time before we launch. 5 left needle position. We're on 9 as far as the stitch width. And then we're on the Batman symbol. All right, this is our last stitch that Joelle gave. Let's give this a go and see what we think. All right, here we go. Whoops, just noticed something. My material is, I bet I already sewed over it. Let me see. Nope, I got it. I got it in time. It tucked underneath a little bit. I almost sewed over it. I've done that before. Oh, I see what it is. It's not far enough underneath the presser foot. Hold on a second. We're going to have a little gobbledygook here. I didn't slide this far enough underneath the presser foot and we weren't getting adequate feed. It should be okay now. Let me try it again. That's the only thing about these feet on the PFAFFs have a little bit of a pivot to them. And if you don't get that material tucked far enough under, it's not making good contact with the feed dogs. And you'll do what I just did, and you'll create a little bit of a mess at the beginning. So make sure you slide it deep enough in. I'm going to really slow it down here. Oh, this is a cool one too. Very, very nice. You'll see my error at the front of here where I didn't have it slid far enough in, and there's a little gap point then when I move that material further underneath the presser foot. All in all, it's amazing how well this 1222E is managing this cotton material with that leather needle. It's giving us a lot of grace. There's only one pattern I saw where that leather needle missed the beat a couple of times, and that's not the fault of the machine needle. We can eliminate that very quickly. So let's look at all of these now. These are stitches, just double checking here. Stitches 52, 58, 7, 11, 19, and 26, along with obviously the straight stitching and the zigzag that we did earlier on. So, yeah, you see what the numbers are. So 58 is this one right here. No, 52, excuse me. 52, 58, 7, 11. 11 is the one that, hold on just a second, Susie. 11 is the one that let me just double check again. 52, 58, 7, 11. Stitch pattern 11 is the one that with our setup with the embroidery thread and the leather needle, you'll notice that it had trouble with that. It had a little bit of trouble with that. Then 19 and 26. So 26 is our last one, just to kind of go over them again, the ones that we did. All right, I'll set this for a moment, and Susie is trying to get my attention. Let's see what she has. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I didn't cover that either. That's a good point. The integrated dual feed is PFAFF's equivalent of a walking foot. And the IDT, um, which actually started with these machines all the way back in, I forget the original date that PFAFF introduced IDT, but it was way back in the 70s, I want to say. I could Google it and find out. IDT has not helped us as far as the feed factor with our setup. It's kind of like the last time we were sewing with that. In one instance, we were sewing with a silk thread, and we were sewing then with the cotton thread that creates a lot of drag. When you're sewing with a leather needle, the eye, the scarf, and everything are going to be set up for sewing with something other than embroidery thread. Embroidery thread is a very specialized thread. Um, it's not going to help us as far as our stitch outcome unless we get to the thicker materials. When we get to the leathers, I'll probably drop the IDT down so we have a little bit better feed. But what I'm going to show you on the stitching, where we did pattern 11, I believe it was, and with our setup, because of the needle movement in that, we had a missing of the beat a couple of times because of our setup. Um, the IDT is going to help us as far as feed when we get to the heavier materials. Not necessarily sewing with cotton and a stiffener. We've got plenty of stability here, but it's going to do great. It's going to do great also on the lighter side as well. If we were to go to silks and satins, the IDT would also be beneficial there. And I didn't show that when we went around the machine. I showed you everything else, everything else. But the IDT is right down here. We'll just look at it real quick. I'll kind of shut the light off real quick so the light doesn't mess with us. That's going to be this right here. Right now, I have it in the up position because we really haven't had a need for it. But you can engage it very easily by just drawing it down like this, and it's locked in place now. And then when we want to disengage it, we just pull it down again and rock it back up again. It's a great suggestion by Joelle as far as the benefits of this when we get to the heavier stuff, when we get to the lighter stuff. But with our setup right now, using a leather needle with embroidery thread, we're kind of rolling the dice. We're kind of rolling the dice, especially sewing on 100% cotton. So let's take a look at the stitching now. But appreciate Joelle's thought on that. Definitely some good benefits. All right, let's take a look at all of the stitching now. And again, from the top down, we're looking at straight stitching, zigzagging. Then we go into stitch 52. Let me get it like this. So straight stitching, zigzagging, stitch 52, 58, 7. 11 is the one that we had a little bit of an issue with because of the configuration of the pattern. Then we did stitch 19, stitch 26, stitch 26 was our last one on the very bottom. That's where I didn't have the material far enough in. Even with the IDT, if we had started stitch pattern 26, the feed dogs still were not in a position to grab it. So even with the IDT engaged, it wouldn't have helped us with that particular pattern right there. But let's look at all of them. And again, with our setup, really did a spectacular job. Let's take a look at all of them. Kind of start near the top and go across. So here we're looking at a cluster of the straight stitch, the zigzag, and also patterns 52 and 58. Get real close. 52 and 58 along with a straight stitch and a zigzag. Very, very nice. We drop down to, let's focus in on pattern 11 and also pattern 7. Pattern 7, no problem at all. But look at pattern 11. Because of our setup, there were two places that we had issues as we go across. Actually, two places, I think. 1, 2. Yep, two places. And that was just an anomaly because of our setup. If we were working with 100% polyester thread, and a universal needle. Actually, even if we were using 100% um, polyester thread with our leather needle, we still would not have had an issue with that pattern. And we only experienced it in two spots. Two spots. And then after 7 and 11, we had, I believe, was patterns 19 and 26. These two right here. Here again, I didn't have the material far enough in, and the feed dogs weren't able to grab it. Yeah, I think that's 19 and 26. Yep, right at the bottom. So considering our setup, I think things turned out really, really nice. We only had that one stitch pattern that gave the machine a little bit of a trouble with our setup, and all the other patterns turned out really, really well considering we're using a leather needle with embroidery thread. Very, very nice. I'll turn it over, look at the lock stitching. Kind of go across again. I won't name the numbered stitches this time. You can just look at them. Maybe I should turn it like this so it's right side up. I think that would be better. Really amazing. This is our tops. We're back to our top stitch now. So those are the 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches that Joelle wanted to see. So I'm going to throw our cotton to the rear now. We're going to move over to leather. And I don't know if Joelle already sent a note or typed it into the chat as far as what stitches does she want me to try to lay down on the saddle grade leather. I'm going to get the leather in place, and I'll reset the machine, and then we'll see if we can lay down some stitching on this leather before we wrap this live stream up. I know it's getting late. We're almost at 3 hours. I want to wrap it up by 3 hours, and especially for the East Coast people, since they're an hour later. Especially for the East Coast people. Let's see what else I have. I'll see if Joelle sent anything. Otherwise, I'll just pick something. So I don't see any input from Joelle. If the audience wants to pick a couple of stitches to lay down on this saddle grade leather, you can look at that link that Susie posted earlier in the chat. Maybe she can post it again, and we can pick out 2 or 3 stitches to lay down on the saddle grade leather, and then we'll move towards wrapping up this live stream. I know it's really quite late. Everyone's probably had a long day. I know I have. And once we get done with this live stream, I got a little bit more work to do on this machine on the other workbench. I'll just show you real quick what I'm working on. I posted a reel of this. on Facebook. This machine had been stored in a real bad spot. And as you'll see in the reel, it had just a heavy layer of rust across here, faceplate, down in the raceway as well. And then the upper tension is just an utter mess. The upper tension is an utter mess as well, with rust on here. You can still see it on the discs. And then one of the components was actually broken, so I'm soaking it right now in rubbing alcohol, and then I'm going to have to do a repair on this. That's kind of what holds the upper tension all together. And I also did motor work and light work and everything else. So, at any rate, that was Susie's notification. Let me see what she has as far as input. And yeah, we'll wrap this up pretty quick. Let's see here. $23 and $19. $23 and $19. And those are ones we haven't done yet. Okay, perfect. So let me try to get it set up for stitch 23. We'll do 19, and then I might pick out, maybe I'll pick out one or two more just to see we can fill this leather out a little bit, and I'll send the rest of this leather with the machine. Matter of fact, I'll send this with the machine as well, some protected full grain leather that Joelle and Sandy can sew some patterns on this as well for fun. Matter of fact, I'll send all of this along. I've got the denim as well, and then I've got two more pieces of saddle grade leather. I'll kind of throw all this into the mix so that the girls can have some fun with that. That'll keep them from wrestling each other on the front lawn. So that'll be great. Okay. Now it looks like we've already done 19 once, so I'll focus on 19 first. We did 19 on cotton. Now we'll do it on leather. Let me see what the settings are. So 3 and 7. Back the camera up a little bit. We're going to push buttons 3 and 7 for pattern 19. You reset this. So 3 and 7. 3 and 7. This will be right here. Just show you on top. Again, when you're not using the letters, these numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the pattern that Susie sent me the text of for pattern 19 is going to require buttons 3 and 7. So we're good to go there. Now we're going to set up a right needle position. So I've got to change this to a right needle position. And we're setting the stitch length on the straight stitch area and put it right about between 1 and 2. I'll probably go closer to 2. Okay. And then last but not least, then we've got to go with the stitch pattern length, which is this control right up here in the front, the little dial in the front. And that's telling us to put 12.5. So we're going to rotate this until we get close to 12.5. And I think that's it. Should be it. Yep. So we'll set that right about at 12.5. Okay, we should be good to go. Let's try this on the leather now and see what we think of this. And I've got the leather far enough underneath. We should get good traction and good launch. And again, remember this has that cleated belt. It doesn't have like a V belt or a tooth belt. It's got interlacing cleats going into a cleated gear. So we, even launching slow, this machine should be able to go through this leather very, very easily. I never mentioned it during the live stream, but machines like this, and then also the 1211 that I showed, and then also the 1221 that would have just preceded this, that also has the flat bed, they're all going to have 1 amp motors. I didn't mention that in the live stream yet. They're all going to have 1 amp motors, so plenty of power along with that cleated belt to drive this home and get the job done. Let's see. I'm going to get a quick drink of soda, and then we'll march through the rest of this. And also, the other thing I should do real quick is also lower that IDT because we are sewing leather now, a heavier material. But I can't do that once I have the presser foot down. So I've got to raise the presser foot up, engage that first, and then put the leather back in place again. A little bit of double duty, but that's okay. So now we've engaged the differential feed. for this saddle grade leather that we're going to try sewing next. Let me get this phone to the side. And then we'll do that second stitch that Susie sent me by text as well. Okay, let's give this a go, see what we think. All right, here we go. Checking my settings real quick. Looks like we're okay. Oh, the only thing I didn't do is our pattern start calibration. Our pattern start calibration, I was really close, but I was just a little bit off of the bird. There we go. Now we're spot on. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to stop right there. And we'll do the next pattern, and then we'll look at both of them together. And again, I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity of having this great machine in the workshop. It had quite a few needs. I think Joelle had said we really worked this machine hard. But you know what? With a little bit of persistence and workshop magic, we can get it done very easily so that the machine is back to a point where she's running well again. So let's do that next pattern now. Put that back down. Make sure I have it far enough in so I don't spin out again. Get our take-up arm up. And I'm getting to that point of the day where I've got to look at, see what stitch Susie sent me again. Looks like 23. Yeah, 23. Okay, 23. Let's do 23 now. So we're going to, oh, cool. This is going to give us that reverse lever that we can incorporate. I'm glad that this one was picked. This will be kind of fun. Okay, so 23, we're going to go to button 5. We got to restart or reset these, I should say. Push down button 5. That's all we need for that. And then looking across the machine, we're going to go with a left needle position. Right now we're at a right needle position. So I'm turning that inner knob to get us to the left needle position. Then we got to go to that near that buttonhole setting, but we're going to be a little bit to the left of it so that we get enough feed. Yeah, we'll leave the differential feed down for right now. Then we have to go to the Batman symbol. We're going to go to the Batman symbol right here. And then we're going to also recalibrate the start of that pattern with this dial back here. Let's see. And then we also have to do the reverse lever, I believe. 23. Yep. Then we have to take our specialty lever up here and we have to move it to the vertical 12 o'clock position for this particular pattern. So quite a few set points in this stitch, 23. And we'll lay this down and then I'll see whether or not I do any other stitching. I think I probably will go ahead and just wrap up this live stream after that, because I know we've been running about 3 hours, and especially again for our East Coast folks, it's getting quite late, isn't it? Yep, I've got all the settings proper, so let me adjust the camera down, and we'll do this last stitch pattern. And then if Susie or anyone else present in the live stream has a stitch that they really, really would like to see, if you look at that sheet that Susie posted the link for, I'm willing to do, there's Susie. I'm willing to do 1 or 2 more stitches before we wrap up this live stream. Well, we've been running about, just shy of 3 hours right now. So, all right, let me check Susie's text, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm going to add these other stitches to it as well. Oh, Sandy is watching. Great to have Sandy in the audience as well. And Sandy, if Sandy joined us just now, during this live stream, I'll send the stat summary to Joelle so she can show it to you. We had over 500 people in the audience earlier on in the live stream, and just until recently, we had, I think, almost 100 people, and then 40 people, and now people are getting tired. They love this machine. They love your machine, Sandy, but it's getting late, especially for our East Coast people, and they're going, I think it's time to go to bed. I got to go to work tomorrow. So, all right. So we did 23. We already did 19. Let's see here. Oh, watching it on the tablet and can't comment, but it is over the moon with happiness. Wonderful. Yeah, really. I mean, you did the right thing in rescuing this machine from that Sew Vac back in 1981. So glad you did that. So let's do stitch 23. This will be a fun one because we had to do some special settings, including our reverse lever here. And the machine's going to be doing all kinds of fun dancing, I have no doubt. So I'm just going to check my settings one last time. What do they say? It's the carpenter's rule. Cut once and measure twice, right? Or measure twice and cut once or something like that. So button 5 we have down. Double check. Yep. We're set correct on the stitch length. We've got the Batman symbol. We recalibrated the start of the pattern. And then we've got our reverse lever right here at the 12 o'clock position. So I think we have everything set correctly. All right, let's do this. And we do have our IDT engaged as well, as Joelle had reminded me about. I'd forgotten to point that out when I went around the machine. And that IDT will help us a lot in feeding this leather underneath the presser foot. All right, here we go. I'm going to stop right there and see if I can take the camera to the side and let you see what that IDT is doing. We go right there. With this pattern, it doesn't have to do quite as much. It was doing a lot on this last pattern. All right, I've been holding this girl back the whole time. Now that we're actually sewing leather with a leather needle, I'm going to speed her up just a little bit more. right, let's stop right there. And I'm going to pick out one or two more patterns to lay down on this saddle grade leather, and then we'll wrap up this live stream. That's a really interesting pattern. That's really tight knit. I could see that pattern doing really well with a 7511 embroidery needle. This one here, the needle we're using is a 9014. It's just a little bit bulkier to execute some of those really, really tight needle movements. And that's where setup can really play into things dramatically, can't it? All right, let's do a couple more. I think I cut that. Yeah. We'll do a couple more patterns on this saddle grade leather. And again, with a 1 amp motor and that cleated direct drive belt, there's not a lot that this PFAFF 1222E can't sew. It's able to handle heavy duty and just doing some basic maintenance on this machine. It outlines it in the owner's manual. And then also I showed you some at the beginning of this live stream. You will be amazed at the power of this 1222E. It just can't sew beautifully. I mean, it does beautiful patterns, but it can do so much more on the heavy duty side also. Let me grab a couple more here. Let's see what else we have. And this is on my sheet. I've got other patterns on the ones that Joelle sent as well. Let's see here. Well, I think I'll do 42. 42 is this scallop style one, the yellow one on the bottom. That's always a fun pattern to sew. Let me see if I can do that one on leather. They usually present real well on leather. So let's try that one, 42. Okay, so let's reset. Let's reset our buttons. Push that right there. And it looks like that one on the bottom is going to be a button 10, which is all the way up here. Again, the numbering of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this pattern requires button 10. We push that down. Now we'll look at some of these other setups. Kind of go like that. There we go. Okay, so pattern 10, we need a left needle position, which we already have. This again, the center knob is going to control needle position. And then it's going to position us in the same spot as far as stitch length, just to the left of the buttonhole symbol. And then finally on the stitch pattern length, we're going to have to go to 12. So we do have to adjust this from the Batman symbol to 12. So we've got that set on 12 now. This is really, really close to the beginning of the pattern. It's so close, I'm not even going to change it. But otherwise, we could rotate this around and set it right on that bird symbol. And then when you set it on the bird symbol, you'll start right at the beginning of that pattern. You can see that. Okay, let's do this. Let's try this, this next stitch on the leather. And I'll see if I do any more after that. You know, I might do the one that's on my list that requires 3 buttons. That's a hoot to try to get all 3 buttons down at the same time. Maybe we'll do that one as a last stitch off. Okay, so this is pattern 42 if you want to try it on your 1222E. Pattern 42. Okay, here we go. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Ha ha! Look at, I forgot to take it out of reverse. Ha ha ha! See that? I was checking all over here and I forgot that oh boy. Okay. Ha ha! Well, the reverse works very nicely. Yes, it does. The reverse works very nicely. All right, let's try that again. Now we'll try going forward. Here we go. Okay, bring that around. Yeah, I like that pattern a lot. That's really cool. Yeah, that's me sewing in reverse right there. Look at that. You can't see it. That's where I started to sew in reverse. It was trying to do the pattern backwards. What a hoot. All right. Let's do one more. I'm going to do the one that requires all the buttons. I don't remember what number that is, but I'll find it on the list. And then if Sandy or Joelle have any last uh, moment requests as far as patterns, including on that one that Joelle sent me by text, I'll be happy to do that on this leather before we wrap things up. But I know it is getting late, especially for our East Coast people. So I don't want to push this too much and lose the entire audience as people are going to bed, which they should be doing at this time of the night. Yeah, these are gorgeous. Look at those. Those are just spectacular. Just spectacular. All right, so the one I was trying to think of, let me see where it is. It's pattern 31. Pattern 31, we have to push down 3 buttons. It's the only pattern on this summary that I've got. The only pattern on this summary that I've got that requires 3 buttons. And we have to push 6, 7, and 10 to do this pattern. 6, 7, and 10. So let's do that. 6, 7, and 10. Reset. So 6, 7, and then also 10. I've got to push this one, and this one. So we'll see how that turns out. Oh, you're going to make me a liar. That was easier than I thought it would be. That actually turned out easier than I thought. We pushed 6, 7, and 10. It was like, no big deal. No big deal. I was going to be all dramatic and go, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. Let's see here. What else do I have to set? Then we need a left needle position, which we already have. And same position on stitch length, so I'm not going to change that either. Leave that at the way it is. And then I can't read that number because my eyes are getting tired after all day. So let's see. Then we have to set the pattern length. The pattern length, this pattern tells us to put it on 11. So we're really close. We're on 12 right now. We just have to rotate this back a little bit to 11. Okay. Hopefully you can see that in the shot. Let me get my light. It's a little bit of a blind spot right here. There it is. And then we have to go back here and we have to rotate this back to the bird symbol because right now it's not set properly. So I'm going to rotate that back as well. Okay, so we have everything set properly. I'm not sewing in reverse. Again, if you joined us a little bit late in the live stream, this control does a number of things. This is normal sewing position right here. If you want to sew in reverse, you push it down and hold it, or you can rotate it to the 12 o'clock position like I launched on that last stitch pattern, and then you'll be sewing in reverse continuously. Or you can rotate it all the way over to the 9 o'clock position, basically the opposite of what it is right now. And then the feed dogs drop and you could do darning and you could do free motion quilting or whatever you want to do. So I explained this so well, but I forgot that it was engaged from that other pattern that Susie requested that I sew, that she sent me a text of. Yeah. Pay attention, Scott. I know it's late, but you got to pay attention, buddy. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this pattern now, and then we'll be done unless there's a final request from someone. Okay. Just double check again. Looks like everything is set correctly. And here we go. Now I'm going to do some speed variation on this. I'm going to slow way down just to demonstrate again the power of this machine that Sandy bought back in 1981. It's got a 1 amp motor. It's got the cleated belt, so you can slow this machine down to just a snail's pace. and it's still going to plow through this leather like it's a light cotton. Even slower. Or you can speed up. And with that IDT engaged, that differential feed, it feeds this leather, which is a heavier material, just beautifully, doesn't it? Just does a beautiful job. And this is the only pattern again on my list that has 3 buttons we have to push down. I had to do it. Had to do it on the live stream. All right, let's take a look at our leather sewing. Let's take a look at our leather sewing now. And then we'll wrap up this live stream. I think we're running just a little bit over 3 hours. That's pretty typical. But we've covered a lot of ground on this machine. And what a spectacular machine she is, isn't she? And she's getting ready to head back out to the warm country out in California. So saddle grade leather. These are all the stitches that we've done. I'll just kind of move across and let you look at them. Beautiful stitch quality. And this needle by Schmetz, this leather needle, this size 9014, is breathing a sigh of relief saying, thank goodness you're finally letting me sew leather. Finally. Absolutely amazing. Look at it like this too. Lock stitching on the back. We haven't made on this machine. This again is your upper tension. We haven't made a single change. We haven't made a single change through all of these sew offs on cotton, on leather. And as a matter of fact, we could duplicate this same pattern on denim, and I bet you our balance would still be spot on. Let's take a look at this one. This again is our lock stitching, beautiful lock stitching. It pops through very nicely through the nap of that leather. And Sandy has every right to be over the moon with this machine heading back home. What a spectacular machine. And I'm not able to do this. I always talk about the intimacy level that an owner has. An owner has an intimacy level with the machine that I'll never have, because I only spend about 10 to 12 hours. I think on this machine closer to 14 hours. But I spend a fraction of the time that owner does. And they get to know this machine like the back of their hand. Like the back of their hand. So if I was out in California, I could bring my video equipment and Sandy could really teach us some stuff on this machine that I haven't been able to show you during this live stream. Absolutely beautiful stitching. And again, this isn't light leather. It's probably about 3 ounces. You can see that from the side. It's about 3 ounces of leather. And with this leather needle that's in the machine right now, oh my goodness gravy. And this IDT feed on the machine and the 1-amp motor, we could go through so much more leather than we are, but we're not doing it now. Yeah, really quite lovely, isn't it? Quite lovely. And we did this cotton as well. We did this cotton as well on the live stream. Beautiful stitching here as well. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. So I want to thank Sandy and Joelle and the entire family. The entire family was behind this project to make this a reality, for this machine to come back to California ready to do a happy dance, ready to do a happy dance, and just have the family marvel over what this 1222E is capable of doing when she's running at the top of her game like she is right now. And even when we ran this 1222E through the paces with a leather needle and embroidery thread, that's like oil and water. I don't know anyone but me that runs embroidery thread with a leather needle. It's unheard of. And yet, even doing that, uh, this machine just did a happy dance through all of these stitches that we ran her through. And it was only that one stitch where it just had a little hiccup, but that's the setup that we have, not the machine's fault. So, on and off camera, on and off camera, I did some of this on leather as well, just to show you that again. I think that pyramid pattern is just spectacular, don't you? And then he did some of this as well off camera. And this as well off camera. And again, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Sandy has had this machine 30 some years, since 1981. She's like, Scott, that's really impressive, and I'm over the moon, but I could teach you a couple things, Sonny. Ha ha! Yeah, you could. I would love to sit down with an owner and their machine, kind of like that the Kenmore that I just helped Susie's service in the workshop during her visit. Susie could teach me things on that Kenmore that I would be like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah. There's no match to an owner's knowledge. There's no match to an owner's knowledge when it comes to what they can show you on their machine because they spend so much time with it. But again, I've given you a little foretaste. And just like our other friend that was in the live chat earlier that just got one of these 1222Es and really doesn't know much about the machine at all, wouldn't it be a wonder to have Sandy sit down with this person that was in the live chat earlier? I'm blanking on her name. I'm sorry. I've been running with both ends of the candle lit or something like that, whatever the saying is. But wouldn't it be fun for Sandy to sit down with a brand new person that just got a 1222E, or Joelle for that matter, because Joelle learned to sew on this 1222E, and have those ladies walk this brand new person through this machine and show the wonders of this machine and really, really get them excited about it. Hopefully, I've done a little bit of that in this live stream, but nothing compared to what Joelle and Sandy could do because they've known this machine for decades. I've only had this machine in the workshop for a brief amount of time comparatively. But again, just showing you the beauty of this machine. This is a 1222E. You only see them about as often as you see Halley's Comet. Every time you see Halley's Comet, a 1222E will come on the scene. But they are really, really rare machines, especially working at this level. And it's so much fun to present this machine and get everybody excited about saying, I thought I had enough vintage sewing machines, but I think I need to add a 1222E to my collection if I can find one. If I can find one. Yeah, they don't pop up very often. So it's always fun to be able to present this machine. And I want to thank again the entire family out in California for rallying around this project and for making this a reality so that I can get this packed up very carefully and get it heading out to Sandy. And then Sandy and Joelle can be standing on the porch together saying, hey, wait, I think that's a FedEx truck. No, no, it's not. Oh, maybe there. No, no, no. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And they'll be out there on the curb, like their feet tapping, going, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." That'll be so much fun. Y'all shoot a little video clip. I'd like to see that. See you two ladies jumping up and down with enthusiasm, going, "There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is." Ha ha. So y'all take care. I'll put on a little bit of music as I wrap this up. I might do a little sewing in a circle or something like that as we wrap up this live stream. But if you're on the East Coast and you need to go to bed, go to bed. I'll just finish this up, and you can always watch this as a video afterwards and celebrate again this fabulous machine that came from California to get workshop magic, and now is going to be heading home to California again this week to do all kinds of fun projects with Sandy and Joelle and the rest of the family. So God bless, and watch for a lot of live streams this week, as it's the final week before I move the workshop to an undisclosed location yet to be announced. Yeah. Ha ha. Take care, everybody. See ya. And thank you to the leaders as well that took such great care of the family during this live stream. All right. I'm going to see what else I'm going to do real quick. You guys know me. I'll put on some polka music or something like that to sew in a circle. Got to do that. Got to sew in a circle. It's like my thing. It's like my thing. And I'll cut another piece of this for Joelle and Mom. I'm going to call her Mom. I'm not going to call her Sandy anymore. I'm going to call her Mom. I'm going to cut another piece of that, and then we'll yeah, for Mom and Joelle. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's put on some polka music. I keep hitting the wrong button. Does anyone else have a not so smartphone where they hit the wrong button all the time? That's me. That's me. Let's see. I'm almost there. I'm getting so close. German polka music. There we go. Finally found it. This is more like alpine music than polka music, but eventually you feel the polka thing kick in. Let's see. Maybe I'll do a different stitch. Oh yeah. I think I'll do 36. White one right there. 36. All right, everybody get up and stretch your legs. And polka. 36. All right, I got to set button number 8. 6, 7, 8. Okay. Oh, I get a center needle position. Yes. Center needle position. I haven't done one of those yet. All right. Same thing. Not going to move that. Getting late. What is that? 36. 12. Yes. Okay. For this purposes, I'm going to take out the IDT. Let me raise my presser foot again. I'm going to take the IDT out. It'll make it a little bit easier for me to go around in a circle, I think, without the IDT. All right. I think I have everything set right. I think I do. I might. All right, let's check this out. on time. Right on time. Yeah. That's fun. That's it. All right. I think we're done. I think we're done. Go to bed, everybody. Go to sleep. How can you go to sleep with this music on?